Okay. Oh boy. Yeah! We're gonna talk about Paddington!
Oh my god.
Now,
What?
now I'm just picturing the movie ending with like a terrible rap, like at the end of like the new Grinch or something. He's Paddington,
like-
he's got a fucking coat on and a hat. He likes marmalade, something like that. He's from Peru.
Isn't that the one with the mouse kid? The kid that's a mouse?
That's not
Stuart Little.
Is Stuart Little a mouse?
Yeah, isn't he? A rat or something? He's a mouse,
I
isn't
think he is a mouse. Yeah, I think you're right. Paddington is... The joke I want to make is that Paddington is the Winnie the Pooh of England, but Winnie the Pooh is also the Winnie the Pooh of England, so I don't know what Paddington is. He's an icon.
He is an icon, that's for sure.
Yes. We don't have our own Paddington in the States,
No.
unless you count Arthur. He's kind of the closest we've got.
Oh, now that I think is it. That is
We don't
it.
have statues of him anywhere, though.
Are
and
you
we
sure?
should.
Are you sure? Now I have to look this up.
It's like that. Maybe Big Bird, Elmo, like the Sesame Street gang could be the
No.
equivalent of Paddington.
Yeah.
I was the other night sitting alone in my house,
As you do.
as I do. And it was like a Friday night, and whatever night it was. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was sitting there
Irrelevant.
alone, and I'm watching Paddington, and I'm going, I have, like a successful life. Here I am just watching Paddington by myself. This is fine. This
I
is
agree.
delightful.
Huh. I was gonna
This
say,
is what
are,
I should
are
be
you,
doing.
Are you mocking?
No,
this, or
I'm
are you saying this is
I'm
okay?
saying this is what I've chosen. This is our mission.
Right.
This is what we have chosen to do as a public good.
That's correct.
To watch Paddington.
Right. Yes.
And tell people what we think about it.
Yes.
What is true about it.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing this forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure that you're comfortable with that.
Oh no, I love this. Yes.
This was... All right. No, so shall we begin? Should we begin
Yes,
here?
let's
Okay,
begin.
Hello, everyone. I am Kevin.
And
Oh, wait,
I'm Rachel.
Hang on. I should say, my English name is Kevin. My bear translated name is... Okay, now you can say your name.
And I'm Rachel, aka.
Yeah, see?
okay.
That feel good? Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast where... I didn't do the me, my mom,
Oh,
me, my
see?
moo. See,
This is
that's
what
what
happens.
that's what happens.
It's what happens.
I got tongue-tied. All right, hang on. Rachel, cut this out. Me, my moo.
I'm keeping this
Me,
in.
my moo.
This is
all
what
behind
Kevin
the
does.
scenes.
This is what Kevin does
is
every
outtakes.
single recording.
I do.
Every time.
You have to warm your voice up, folks.
Do you? Sometimes I go to us recording
We
and I
are-
haven't spoken a word all day.
We are professional podcasters doing this for fun and enjoyment. A podcast where brother and sister team go through all things pop culture, whatever the genre, scene by scene, page by page, through walkthroughs to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf. It's God's work, is what it is.
It's gorgeous.
And as we continue here in Volume 4 of Shelf Life, we have come to the point of the show where Rachel said, we need something light
That's right.
this volume. And for those of you that have been...
Lighthearted.
Yes. And folks that are following along here, if this is your first Shelf Life episode, you're in for a treat, I think, today with
Absolutely.
this subject. But for those of that are longtime listeners that have been following along with Volume 4, I think that you might agree that we need a little bit something a little bit lighthearted. We've had humanity's been overthrown.
Yes.
We've had weird time travel crap.
Yes.
We've had dark Catholic stuff going on. There's a lot of darkness has happened over the course of Volume 4. There's been some lightheartedness. There's been a lot of kindness and friendship as well.
Yes, but still dark themes in that one. I mean, technically in this too. Well, we'll get through that.
So, Rachel, this was, if you listen to the opener where we recapped what was going to be on the card for Volume 4, we mentioned this. Rachel looked at the card and she said, we need something a little lighthearted. And she looked at the list of lightheartedness
right.
and she went, that one. So, Rachel, what is up for contention to the shelf today?
We are going to be talking about the 2014 Paddington Bear.
I think it's just called Paddington.
The 2014 Paddington, who is
Paddington.
the Paddington Bear.
He is the Paddington Bear. Yes, we are doing Paul King's 2014 film Paddington, the family movie about a bear. Well, I guess I should. Why am I doing this?
Do
This
I
is
get
Rachel's
to this?
job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
How dare you?
so Rachel, what? As always, what is Paddington, and what is your history with both the character and the movie, Paddington Bear? Because we have to go over Paddington Bear. He's an institution. He's an icon. He is England.
He himself is England.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
you're
represents an entire country.
No, I like that.
If that fucker wouldn't have showed
He's not
up in the
even
middle of the
English.
Olympic opening ceremony, he's not even English. That's true.
He's Peruvian.
He's Peruvian. Yeah. So, Rachel, what happened? What is Paddington, and what is your history with Paddington?
Paddington is about
Paddington.
a little Peruvian bear who goes through a trauma that forces him to travel to London, England, where he meets a family and tries to find where he fits in.
Interesting. I like that. I like that summary there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, he is a bit of a, dare I say, a refugee.
He is. He is. He lost his home.
Lost his home. Yes.
Sad.
Very, very sad.
That was very
sad. I started watching the one night, and I was like, I know where this is going. And I was like, I don't feel like watching it right now, so I just turned it off.
Sometimes you gotta be in the right place for that. I think I was over emotional for this whole movie.
I don't need to see Michael Gambon get killed here. So, Rachel, what's your history with Paddington? Anything?
I honestly don't recall. I feel like I know of Paddington. Of course I know of Paddington, the bear with the red hat and the blue coat, right?
Yeah.
And I know it was a book, and I feel like I must have read at least one of those, or at least like the main book as a child, but I don't have like a visceral memory of it.
Sure. I'm in the same boat. I was gonna tell you before we started recording. I remember watching I think it's stop motion.
Okay.
Or something like that. It feels like it was a stop motion show, and I remember watching that as a kid. So I feel like I might have even had a little stuffed Paddington or something.
I know I have a stuffed Paddington, which makes me think
maybe it's yours.
I think I had one as a kid, and it sat on like the little rocking chair I had in my room.
Okay.
And I think it came with like a little book. So that might be where I had like all the.
And when we were at Mom and
memories
Dad's,
from.
we didn't find it in one of the
I don't
boxes.
remember seeing it. I mean, honestly, look, I had too many stuffed animals as a kid.
Folks at home,
and we still have them.
Rachel was hell bent
on a mission
on finding something for her Twitch stream.
Just say what it was.
And
Furbies.
yes, and she couldn't find it, and we were looking through all these boxes at our parents' house, and we were finding like all this old stuff. But yeah, I don't remember Paddington being in
I
any
swore
of the
there.
but we
I
weren't
mean, I
looking
don't think
for
it was
him,
big.
so-
I think it was a small one. I want to say it was
okay.
like a little guy,
Yeah.
pocket sized. Okay, so the television series you're talking about, I think, is this one that says it premiered on January 1976.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was like in reruns. I'm not that old,
And
folks.
it looks like it's like paper. It's like it's not claymation, but it's like stop motion with paper.
Okay.
And it's like all these like little like the cartoons and like it's like all marker colored in. I think this is what you're talking about because like this looks familiar. Oh, and he's like a little character. I think.
Yeah. See, because he's not paper,
but
he's
the
like a
entire
little
world is.
He's like a little
doll.
creature. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
little doll. Yeah, I think I've seen that. So it's that, and then so if we're gonna talk about British colonial influenced anthropomorphic animals, in the category of British colonial anthropomorphic animals, I was always more on the side of what's the little elephant name from South Africa, Babar or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I do. You probably could show it to me and I'd be like, oh yeah, that thing. But I probably wouldn't know the name.
Show you. Babar.
Babar Babar?
No, Babar, the elephant.
Babar the elephant.
Yeah. He was like, it's weird that there's a whole genre of kids stuff that's influenced by British colonialism, but
yes!
this guy.
Yes.
Yeah. I was more of a Babar the elephant kid. So
I remember
and that's probably because as an American, I'm not as familiar with the institution that is Paddington, but I still knew Paddington.
Well, we were just talking about this too right before we started. Curious George, the French monkey. That I remember like reading and also like had maybe a tiny Curious George or maybe a tiny, what's the guy, the man in yellow?
The man in the yellow hat.
Is that all it is? I couldn't remember if he had a name. But I think I had like a little, like, again, I think they were like
Babar is
pocket-sized.
French.
Babar
so
is
Babar
French.
is French. Yeah. Well, he's based on it. He's definitely based on French colonialism, but
apparently we had a lot of French stuff going on.
Same idea. Whatever. So yeah, I mean, European colonialism, then when it comes to that, I'm more on the Babar side than I was on the Paddington side.
I feel like I probably weighed more on the Paddington side because I always had bears. I had my stuffed bear. I loved him.
I've never seen this movie though.
Okay, so I don't think I did, but I also felt like there was a couple scenes that were very familiar, and I was like, maybe it was one of those things that was on TV, and it was just on in the background while I was doing something else in the room, and it might have been turned on by like Dad or something,
Very possible. He does like to turn things on.
Yes. So that's kind of what was going through my head. I'm like, maybe this was just like on the background and I was crocheting or something while this was happening or working on like homework. I don't know. Like, that's all I could think of.
I mean, when it comes to any kids' movies stuffs, after I was a kid, so I don't have like a lot of nostalgia for it, or there's really no reason for me to watch it, unless it's like something that's like a Turtles remake or something like that.
Sure.
I might not have seen it. There's a good chance I have not seen it because I just don't watch a lot of these like Pixar or Disney or whatever, what have you, DreamWorks movies. So Paddington was just going to be another one that's like there that I just haven't seen,
Yeah.
So I had never seen
That's
this
fair.
movie, and I do think when it comes to our verdict here at the end of the episode, having no nostalgia for something is going to affect your perception of it as well. In a way, because you just don't have the tie to the character or something that somebody else might have.
Of course.
I'm using that as a potential disclaimer for how we describe this. Overall, though, Paddington, a charming little lad,
Oh my God.
wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I was going to, Rachel, tell
Aunt
you
and Uncle raised him right. Just saying.
Yeah. Raised like Spider-Man.
Yes, 100% that is what I was doing too. Yep, we'll get to that.
He's raised like Luke Skywalker. He's raised like Peter Parker. All these people getting raised by their aunt and uncles.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Well, it's so that
they always kill off the parents. They
Yeah,
always kill off the
that's why.
parents.
Yeah. So I thought I could give you a little bit of background on Paddington. Because when it comes to the movie, even like the behind the scenes stuff and everything, it seems like it was a very like, everyone loves Paddington. Let's make a Paddington movie.
Paddington.
Okay.
Boom.
Hey, guy that produced Harry Potter, let's make a Paddington movie. That sounds like a great idea. I produced Harry Potter, so I know what I'm doing. And then
Yay!
here we go. Now, it could have turned out to be just a cash grab. We'll get into it. We'll get into it as we talk about the movie, because one thing I hate about kids' movies in general is that so many of them are garbage crap stuffed with terrible jokes and lame humor and pop culture references and terrible pop songs that don't have any fit or anything like that. So much of that crap. And I was like, why would this be any different? Where was I going with that? But you put together a potential team with some verisimilitude, and maybe you can make something right about it. That's the flip side here, because I think people were worried because Paddington, like we've said, is beloved. He is the Winnie the Pooh of Britain, even though Winnie the Pooh is the Winnie the Pooh of Britain.
Which we could do that one then too, because that's like there's a very similar movie with Winnie the Pooh.
I feel like we've adopted Winnie the Pooh though as Americans. Like he's kind of ours.
It kind
Like-
of feels that way. It does kind of feel that way.
He immigrated over here. He's really kind
They
of
were like, well, we like Paddington better, so you guys can have Winnie the Pooh.
Like Pooh's kind of like, I was born in Britain, but then I moved to the United States with Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin was visiting, and that's where he found Winnie the Pooh and brought him back.
Yeah. So anyway, so Paddington is based off of a book, A Bear Called Paddington was the first book, and it's a series of books, over 20 books, written by Michael Bond, who's in this movie, and I didn't even know who Michael Bond was, and I was like, that's got to be the author. That part where they're driving through London, and the one guy with like the tea kind of lifts the tea up at Paddington, and Paddington lifts the hat up, and I was like, that's got to be the author, and it was Michael Bond.
Cute.
So he died shortly before the second movie came out.
Okay.
Michael
Sad.
Bond did.
Yeah.
So in the 50s, he came up and wrote Paddington. He wrote it and based it off of a stuffed bear that he got for his wife.
Oh.
He was trying to write a story kind of about a very, very polite bear. That was the idea, with references to the refugees in England during the 40s.
Oh,
so whether it was Jewish kids being sent to London for safety, or if it was just kids throughout Europe being sent to London for safety.
Absolutely.
That
makes a lot of sense with the tags and everything too.
And that's why the tags are there, and they mention that, they reference that.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was interesting, because that's a strong topic, but in the 50s it makes sense because it's something that would be fresh on everyone's minds to be talking about that kind of thing. According to Michael Bond, he found it as a teddy bear he noticed on the shelf of a London shop. He said it looked rather forlorn, and he bought it as a present for his wife.
That's very cute. I do love that.
He remembered that it's kids in London as well who, to get away from the bombings, they would put into the train stations and they would ship them out to the country.
Yes, which I think is what happens with the kids from Narnia. They do that.
Oh, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think you might be right. Folks at home, correct us if we're wrong.
I'm
but
pretty
I think
sure
that
that's what happens with the kids in Narnia.
Yeah.
They ship them off on a train
with a label around their neck saying, please take care, like here's the name and everything, and some luggage. Yeah.
And so somebody like chooses them, and then they're like, okay, you're coming to our house. So this is the stop you get pushed off at. Okay, we're coming home with me.
Yeah. And of course the idea is that he's found in Paddington Station, just like, these people would find these kids as they would come in the countryside. So he's found in Paddington Station, and hence he gets the name Paddington. And if you look at anything about like the background of Paddington, you just see that there are statues of him now. There's statues of him at Paddington Station. You can take your picture next to Paddington,
That's
a couple of them.
Yeah.
There's like Paddington stores within Paddington Station, so you can get the little stuffed
course.
animals. I bet you everybody does it too, right? Like there's like that has to be the thing of everybody getting their picture and like going and get your like stuffed Paddington.
Now when I go visit, that's what I'm going to do. That is going to be on my little checklist of things that I must do.
But there's a couple. There's one under Platform 1. Well, this is at Paddington Station now, because I'm thinking of King's Cross. King's Cross Station would be the one with all the Harry Potter shit at it. Paddington would be the one with...
Right.
Yeah. It just became this beloved thing that just got passed on and on and on through the generations. So now it's an institution. Now you cannot fuck it up. You need to do good by this, because he's, like we said, like Arthur or Winnie the Pooh or something like that, where it's like you have somebody that means something to all these people.
Right. It's not just something that you found like buried and lost in time. This thing has continued on.
And I think we can get very cynical as a people with good reason when something like this is told it's going to be a movie. Because I think when movie studios get a hold of this shit, they don't think about the fact that you have to have verisimilitude. They have the idea that you got to make some money off this shit.
Exactly. That's what they go in thinking.
But the problem is, if you just make it as good as you can try to make it, you're gonna make the money off of it. So just But
I never understood that. It's like, well, just stay true to it. Why are you like, well, we have to change it for this and that? And like, no, you don't. I know that's what you're thinking you have to do for money. No, hold on. I know that they change, like, when they, like, completely change something. When they completely change a character.
So I was going to say, this is probably updated for the modern age.
Oh, yeah, sure.
2014.
A little bit of an update, but I'm just saying, like, when they completely change, like, the background, or they completely change the story, and you're just like, but that's... Why would you do that? What are you gaining from that with the people who absolutely, like, adore this character? That's all I'm saying.
First announced in 2007, David Heyman, who is the producer of the Harry Potter movies, took it over. Hamish McColl wrote the screenplay along with Paul King. At first, they were going to get Colin Firth to play Paddington. I think they actually had him do some recording of it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I think Colin Firth is who I kept thinking was going to be the dad. And then I was like, they kind of are so similar.
Made a good dad.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe they thought that, because who's playing the dad now? Hugh Bonneville. Mm-hmm. Hugh Bonneville playing Mr. Brown.
He was great.
Now that you mention it, like, yeah, Colin. It would have been interesting to have Colin Firth play the dad.
He's kind of who I was like just expecting it. I don't know why. I think it's just because what I'm used to, but yeah,
he would have fit. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's interesting about this, and I'm going to repeat. I'm going to say it now. I'm sure I'll say it at the end of this episode, and I'm going to say it again when we do Harry Potter.
Of course.
I would really like to see. I know they're doing the Harry Potter remake. The Max it's going to be like a show or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to reboot Harry Potter because it's been 20-some odd years and you need to reboot it because God knows you can't just let something exist.
Right.
I kind of want to see Paul King, the director of this movie, direct Harry Potter.
Ooh. Okay.
Because I think that he kept the spirit of Paddington.
Yes.
Very much in this movie, and I kind of want to know what his version of, like, the charming wizarding world would look like.
That would be very interesting. I agree. I'm on board with this.
I'm sure that somebody might stop that from happening, because for whatever reason, wouldn't have her vision. But anyway, so Colin Firth was going to be Paddington. They had him do some recording for it, and he sounded too adult.
Yeah, he's way too adult to be actually Paddington.
Yes, but I agree, Mr. Brown he could have done, and I think that actually would have worked. It was actually done then by Ben Whishaw. I don't know who that is, but he looks like he's probably somebody that a lot of British people know. He's in stuff. He was Q in Skyfall. That's what you've seen him in, Rachel.
He's not super recognizable for me.
Yeah, you watch all that British shit. Figured you'd have some.
Well, I might. I mean, I don't know, but I just for some reason it didn't pop right away. Like a lot of characters in this, I went, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, of course," and then I laughed. And I was like, "Oh, they live next to the doctor."
Still, yeah. I mean, he was still in his mid-30s when he recorded this, but he has a lot more.
It's softer,
youngish spirit or something.
Yeah,
in his
it's like
voice,
a softer voice, so it doesn't feel so adult.
Yeah.
It's not so, like, squeaky kid, but it's, like...
Yes.
It's nice, like, soft voice.
Yeah. So he became the voice. I've looked up a couple of things where you see them being on location for a lot of this shoot. What I thought was interesting was there are some parts of this movie, and granted, I happened to watch this movie on my laptop. I didn't watch this one on my big TV because of time. But I watched this one on my laptop, and I wasn't totally bothered by the fact that it's all CGI Paddington. I think he interacts with the...
Oh, no, he was fine.
...environment fairly well.
Yes.
When I watched I only watched a little bit of the behind the scenes, and I saw the scenes where they were shooting in Peru, or the Peruvian scenes. It was the, people wearing the tennis balls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But in the scenes with the family, it's mostly head on a stick. So you have to do that like there's nothing there, and you have to act against it.
Yeah.
I think maybe in the first scene when you first see Paddington and he's a complete cartoon getting the orange, I was like, ooh, it's not totally Uncanny Valley or anything like that, but it's like, okay, that he's animated.
Right.
Question for you. Would you have preferred a puppet? Or a mixture? You think that would have worked?
Probably a mixture.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel like the face wouldn't work very well.
Yeah.
Because of how, anthropomorphic, is that the word I want?
Yeah. Anthropomorphic.
I can't say it now. Anthropomorphic. He is.
Rachel's gonna re-record that.
But how anthropomorphic he is, I just feel like I don't think a puppet could do it justice. Now, the only puppet bear that I can think of
puppet bears are rare.
Bear in the Big Blue House. Do you know this one?
Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. I thought you were gonna say Fozzie. Oh, Bear in the Big Blue House was like a big puppet, though, right?
Yeah.
It was like a puppet that could eat you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think it was a man inside of it, but his face was a puppet, right?
Right.
But it's so like the way the face moves, I feel like would be what you'd get with a puppet if you had Paddington Bear as a puppet, and I think the CGI was better for it.
Yeah. You know what? That's
you see what I mean?
Because,
like his eyebrows move and like his mouth, and it's very cute. I loved Bear in the Big Blue House.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first thing I thought of when I thought of like an animatronic type of movement with the face. Because I know the rest of him is actually a person inside, but still.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, all right, I'll give you that. So this movie comes out in 2014 in England. And in some other areas of the country or of Europe, it comes out in January in the United States, which probably did not do wonders for its box office. I'm actually trying to see what the box office was. Oh,
yeah, January is always a weird time for movies.
Well, it came out in like the Christmas time in the UK, so that's perfect for a family type movie. Any thoughts on the budget or what the box office might have been for this one, Rachel?
Well, I don't know how much did they spend?
65 million was the budget.
Okay. I bet 70 million.
Is what they made?
Yes.
It made 283 million.
Okay, never mind. That was
It didn't make as much in the States. It didn't make as much in the States. It opened to 19
I never
million
know
in the
how
States,
to do that.
But it made a lot of money in Europe and France.
Sure.
The critics really enjoyed it. Michael Bond's daughter is in the behind the scenes footage talking about how like she cried watching it because she was like, this was my teddy bear like come to life on screen, right? One thing to point out about what Michael Bond, he had initially, because of course you're doing a British colonial paradigm or analogy, he was supposed to be from Africa when he was writing the story.
Really? Okay.
And his editor or his friend, one of them told him there aren't any bears in Africa. So he was like, well, where are there bears then that are like foreign? And they were like, well, North America and South America. And he's like, well, Peru. We'll do Peru. Let's do Peru. He's from because darkest Africa is what you normally would say, right? So that's why he's from darkest Peru, because he just, I find Peru. Yeah.
That's interesting. But I kind of like the combination of that then. It's kind of interesting because it does make him seem like it kind of lets him be from wherever. I know it's Peru, but it's kind of like it could technically be still Africa if you wanted to think of it that way, or like some country that kind of like mixes them both. Like
it's a fake country.
Yes.
So it comes out. Everyone gives it a lot of high marks. I think it has a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that. It's got huge critical and audience appeal, and it is, I'm sure, as we record this, beloved by a lot of people. Even some of our younger audience might have grown up with this thing at this point. Now, remember, kids and folks at home, we don't have the nostalgia for it. So it's okay to like, dislike, or love or hate a movie, because it's a movie.
It's a movie.
But it doesn't matter how well it did with critics. Doesn't matter how well you might like it. That's not the question. The question is, does it have shelf life?
That's right.
So when we come back, after a word from our fake sponsor, we will dig into... It's going to be about marmalade. What are you talking about? It's going to be a marmalade commercial.
It's a lot of marmalade.
we will... It's a lot of marmalade.
It's just... I said it was a callback to 12 Angry Men, because I remember we talked about the marmalade salesman. I said, that's a lot of marmalade.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Okay. Man, people in the 50s really liked marmalade. Why was that a thing? I guess because it's like the most flavorful thing you can get in the fucking 50s.
Oh, sure.
When we return, we will dive into Paddington.
Remember that wonderful homemade marmalade Grandma used to make? Fresh-picked orchard oranges made to that good old-fashioned recipe, cooked and tended with loving care. Grandma loved making it. You loved eating it. Times change, but you can still get that wonderful homemade quality when you buy Cottier's marmalade. It's the modern woman's way of giving her family the best, the very best of real country-style goodness, the kind that's sometimes missing with today's modern foods. Buy the best, serve the best, when it's Cottier's marmalade.
We're back with the 2014 Paul King film, Paddington. So, Rachel, shall we begin the walkthrough of Paddington?
Let's do it.
Everyone's favorite bear, Peruvian bear, wearing a trench coat. It's not a raincoat, right? It's a trench coat?
I don't know. I think it's more of a winter coat or like a trench coat. I think it's when he wears the yellow boots, it makes me think that it's a raincoat.
David Heyman had said that they didn't put the boots on him because, as far as he could tell, none of the original stories had the boots. It was only put on the bear so that the toys could stand up.
Look,
because they couldn't stand up with just the bare feet.
I mean, also it's like the primary colors. You have like the red hat, the bright blue coat, and the yellow boots.
Is it yellow boots or is it red boots?
I thought they were yellow boots.
No, I gotta look it up.
I
think you're
wrong?
right. No, I think you might be right. Yeah, it's yellow boots.
Yellow
You're
boots. Right. How dare you say I had that wrong?
Well, because you can also get him with red boots. There's also a store called Boots in Paddington Station.
That's cute. That's probably where he gets the boots in the story.
I need to get a pair of boots. No, that was too cockney. I need to get a pair of boots, please.
That's
it's better.
That's way better. Yeah, you got to do like that very polite, very
You're
soft.
Right. Yes, very much. Every little fake British accent, terrible British accent that I do today will be done with the poshness of Sir Paddington Brown.
Sir Paddington Bear. Oh, that's true.
So
He's Paddington. Yeah, but by the end,
has he been knighted? Do you think he was knighted by the Queen?
Ooh, it would be kind of sad if he wasn't.
I feel like he should have been. Can you get knighted as a fictional character?
Paddington Bear. Was Paddington Bear knighted? I could see her loving Paddington Bear.
Yeah, I do feel like the Queen was probably into Paddington. It has been okay, hang on. Here's an article from BBC after the Queen died in 2022 called "The Queen and Paddington: How a Bear Became an Unlikely Royal Mascot."
Look at the picture.
Oh, dear Lord.
I think that's really her.
Okay, so apparently, folks, Rachel has found on the internet a set of pictures that I think the Queen took.
I think she did a whole sketch. I think she did a whole sketch with Paddington Bear where they sat down for tea and marmalade sandwiches.
Yeah,
that's
so
what it says.
It's the Queen drinking tea and having marmalade sandwiches with Paddington, probably to promote the movie.
Oh, absolutely. But this is just adorable. All right,
3 months ago,
sorry.
after 3 months ago, after Buckingham Palace came up with an idea to film her acting opposite the Peruvian bear to launch her televised Jubilee concert.
There it is.
One of the last times most of us saw the Queen close up was when she did that marvelous sketch during the Jubilee celebration. So yes, this is what you're thinking of, Rachel.
It's
so this
exactly
is the
what it
Paddington
is.
and the Queen having tea together.
I love it.
Yeah, so there you go. She's eating a marmalade sandwich. So there you go. Yes, we found the same thing. There's a picture of somebody made a picture of Paddington hand in hand with the Queen at the site. Her corgi is by her side, of course, as well. So, because, you know, we Americans still remember where we come from. We still have some sort of fascination with our, you know,
I think we just have a fascination with the entire world, but yeah.
We fought long and hard so that we didn't have to listen to that.
Unless we wanted to. All right, we have a choice.
That's right. Got to keep the King of England out of your face. So Harry and Charles, not Harry. Who's the real prince? It's Charles? William.
William.
So William, stay the fuck out of my face. That's right.
He said it. He said it here.
That's right. I can say it. I'm American. Gotta keep the King of England out of your face. So anyway, let's get right into Paddington, this charming little film from the year 2014. So it begins with a film reel about darkest Peru, and a British man is set by this geographers club. I believe he calls it the Geographers Guild. Folks, I'd love to know if this is canon to the Paddington series or not.
Yes, the lore. We must know the proper lore.
I don't know a lot about the lore about Paddington, so if I get anything wrong in this, I want people to correct me. I want to know what Paddington in the books is like, what the differences are.
I don't think we know that they're like the club until later. Do we?
That's what I'm saying. I cannot remember if he says the Geographers Guild or if he just says Geographers, because I wrote down like, okay, they're geographers.
Because I remember when I was watching it, when we find out that they're like the Geographers Club or whatever, that I was like, okay, I see.
Yeah, they're like that club from South Park that travel the world molesting kids. It's the same idea.
Not the same idea. No. No.
The Adventurers Club.
Honestly, though,
called.
they do kill animals, so.
Yes, they do.
Same idea.
They love killing animals.
Same idea.
Just like the British loved killing animals. Killing people, enslaving people, loved it.
Oh boy.
They were the best at it.
They really were. Well, they might not have been
the Belgian were really good at just raping Africa.
Oh boy.
From pillar to post.
Okay. I don't know about this line of talking.
So anyway. It's true.
It's true, but it's like, we're watching Paddington, Kevin.
That's what the story's about.
All right, fine. But for the children.
Even if it's not upfront about it, it's evoking those images.
It really is. It really is.
So this British man is like, I've been put on a quest to go to Peru and to explore it. And he's bringing only the essentials, which includes a grandfather clock and a piano, which is a good joke.
A travel piano.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, you got to set up camp somewhere, and you need to have something to do. Right. You get a piano out there.
And he did call that grandfather clock a modest timepiece.
for the British in the 1800s, 1900s,
I would have thought pocket watch, but a grandfather clock probably better because you can see it from further away.
That's right.
It's like Big Ben.
If you have a camp in a couple of places, that makes sense. And they come across a species of bear, and of course, as we just outlined, he's going to shoot it because that's what you got to do.
Yes.
You don't want to study it. You don't want to find out what it's about. You don't want to make sure that it doesn't have some sort of homing device like a bee where the rest of them are going to come try to murder you.
Sure.
He's just like, shoot this.
Shoot
I am
this
British,
and put it on the wall.
Thing,
Taxidermy.
I shoot. That's right. But before he can, another one comes up from behind him, takes his gun.
From above, by the way, mind you.
Yeah,
from like a branch. He's like hanging from a branch.
I was trying to think of what it reminded me of, and the only thing I think of is like or like a Tigger move. The animation was kind of like the way that he lowered himself. Yeah, so he lowers himself like Spider-Man. Really?
Yes, he does.
And I like that he takes the gun right out of his hand.
Yeah, he just kind of throws it.
He has no idea what a gun is. And then he saves the British explorer's life by there's a scorpion on his shoulder.
Yes.
And he bats the scorpion away.
Right.
So then the explorer feels like he owes these bears his life. So instead of shooting them, he decides to introduce him. The bears are willing to introduce.
Honestly, the bears are like, hey, come over here. Come back home with us.
Yeah, we'll show you around.
Yeah, that's what they acted like. And then he's like, and I will show them all of my trinkets and things that I've brought.
Yes,
and,
I'm going to show them all of the London.
Right.
Yes. All you need to do if you come across a colonial imperialist is save their life. And then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
It does seem to be that way.
He gives them marmalade, which they love.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of honey with poo is marmalade to Paddington.
Yes. Yes,
There
it
is
is.
a correlation there
A
for
nice,
sure.
sweet treat. That's all you need. A nice,
Have
sweet
you ever
treat
had
for a bear.
marmalade?
I mean, yes.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had marmalade.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we've had marmalade before, and it's very similar to like a jelly or jam. So if you
Okay, so I'm
if you
I'm
had
assuming
like
I have at some
a
point.
jam
but-
or jelly that has like probably thicker pieces of the actual fruit in it. I don't know if that's how it
Yeah.
actually is, but I think some marmalades are like that.
Yeah.
So
And-
yes, I have.
Okay, I'm just asking because I didn't know if it's kind of like Vegemite is to the Australians, where it's like, do you think British people eat peanut butter and jelly?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So I think that's the same thing. I think it's like we eat peanut butter and jelly, the Australians eat Vegemite, the British eat marmalade, and that's it. The English speaking Queen's countries. I don't know what Canadians do. I guess they probably just put poutine on bread and call it a day.
Oh yeah, they give them their poutine. They're solid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They don't want, but that's not but like the Vegemite's not even sweet. I was like, oh, that's not a sweet treat. But then Vegemite.
But they
isn't
put it
either.
on bread.
That's true.
Like
it's whatever
that's
gets
what
put
I'm
on
saying.
bread. Yeah, it's a spread.
It's their
spread.
equivalent of peanut butter jelly / marmalade.
Sure.
So then the explorer gives them a snow globe of London, and I'm pretty sure it's Lucy who says London.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So like they've learned English now, and he's like, "Dear Lord," I wanted it to be like a pan zoom in on his face, like, "Oh my god." So, and the weird part of this entire movie,
I wanted this to come back for some reason. The naming
What-
of these
what?
bears.
Over time, I become friends with the bears and even name them. The female after my dear departed mother, and the male after an exotic boxer I once met in a bar.
one after his mother, after his beloved mother,
Yes.
Lucy, and he names the other after an exotic boxer that he met at a bar,
Bar.
which I like that joke.
Oh, it's great.
So it's Pastuzzo, and those are the names of the characters in the Paddington books: Lucy and
Yes.
Pastuzzo, Aunt Lucy and Uncle Pastuzzo.
What were you gonna say? Is that what you're gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I think it's weird that other than this interaction, and even then, eventually we learn that he tells the Explorer Guild that they're highly intelligent,
Yes.
or they're but throughout this movie, no one is shocked that Paddington speaks English proper and
true.
can function like a human.
That's absolutely true. Because when later on we're gonna get to it, but like even the dad goes, "Oh Lord, it's a bear. He's gonna be selling us something,"
which is like kind of part of the.
I love
I feel like
it.
that's part of the fantasy. Like that's part of the joke. Like, oh great, a bear.
They
Like,
they just let it be.
Yeah, but it still is. It's very silly.
They
like,
it's almost, so sometimes they go, well, it's a bear, and then they're like, what do you mean it's a bear? And then sometimes they go, it's a bear,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, that's not gonna help. Like,
Yeah. It borders on it. It does it.
yes.
But it kind of does the balancing act pretty well.
I like it.
Actually.
I like
Yeah,
it. To me, it's
Alright.
very
'Cause
British humor too, though, the way it
Sure.
works.
Sure. He gives Pastuzzo his explorer's hat, which in black and white you can't tell what color it is, and then we find out that it's like bright red.
Which is
'Cause
very
I kept thinking
weird.
it was.
I thought it was gonna be,
kept
like,
thinking it was going to
tan?
be. Yeah, I would have sworn it was tan.
Or like brown, like
Well, later though we find out that it's a Peruvian hat, so did like the explorer pick it up before he ventured off into the jungle?
like he went to some place there and
Yeah,
he found a shop
some
and he's like, "Oh, I love
bizarre-
this
yeah.
hat." So he put it on
Yes.
and then
Oh, this hat will do
maybe he
splendid.
matched it with
I'll
his
fit
scarf.
right in. Yeah. Then, after the explorer's like, I just kind of wonder if they've learned as much from me as I've learned from them, and blah, 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 and oh, it was such a charming little sight to see these bears. And then we get many years later, we learn it's been 40 years, so 40
Yes.
years later. Now, the interesting part about this is that if it's modern day 2014, that means that he was exploring Peru in 1964, which... Not even. 1974. I feel like it wouldn't be this black and white old
Like
like
old film
19
reel?
like World War One type film reel. Yeah.
That's interesting. Now that you're saying that, like, I guess I didn't really
You're
think
not supposed to
about
think
that.
about it. Yeah. You're not supposed to think about it. But it has only been 40 years.
Yeah. Maybe it's not so much modern day. Maybe it's a little less modern day. It's like just enough modern that you feel like it's modern, but it's not
me,
modern where it's like, here's all this crazy technology.
Yeah, it can be anachronistic. Like Batman, the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's shit in there from the 1930s and there's shit in there from 1989, and it doesn't matter because
Right.
it's set in its own world.
Yes.
So I think this is its own world. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like what the actual time was. It doesn't matter that in reality, like 100 years should have passed or whatever. It
Sure.
just kind of is. So we get a bear grabbing an orange.
Yes.
And this is the first scene where we see Paddington, because it's this CGI bear face, and he smells the orange and he goes, "Marmalade day."
They're ripe. It's marmalade day.
And he runs off, and this is where I wrote down in my notes, oh, this is a Weinstein production. Ew.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
Ew.
anyway,
We mentioned
he
it. We don't have
trips-
to talk about it. Continue.
yeah, that's right. So he trips. I always wonder, like, because it's a heyday production, and like all of the stuff in the British ventured into it, but I guess to do the American distribution, it needed to be under like
I don't know.
the
I
Weinsteins.
guess
Like,
it's
you couldn't
unnecessary.
find anybody
That
else.
man did
Yeah.
not need to be a part of this.
So, yeah, because he's gonna rot in hell. He's gonna be a hell of a demon when he gets down there.
Whew. I don't even think they'll let him. They're not going to let him.
You don't think they're gonna let him in?
No, they're just not going to let him be like anything, like a part of their team. They're like, no, you're disgusting.
He
don't
could
think they
come
would
up
allow
with.
They torture the bad people down there. They're not
No,
like
you have to understand,
they're not
I'm running
giving them a
very reputable-
promotion.
I'm
They're like,
running
no,
a very reputable business down here. Okay,
that's right.
Do you understand how many movie producers are down here? Okay,
That's right.
I don't need to be dealing with him.
He's not letting them produce movies in hell. Absolutely not.
We could get some really, really like hellish movies though
It's very true.
produced.
Maybe the lesser ones.
Do
He'll
you
be like,
think
yeah,
that
that's fine.
okay? Let's say
Produce a
you
movie.
let's say you go to heaven.
Okay.
Let's just say you do.
All right, go on.
Do you think that you get movies from hell? Do you think that they import them in like foreign films?
Oh, I bet they do. I bet they do.
I could see that. Like even if it's a black market thing.
Oh yeah.
How did we get on this?
I don't know.
We're talking about Paddington. All right, I don't know. I don't know what, folks. I don't know what just happened. I don't know when the next. I don't even know when the next time we'll even talk about angels and demons. Oh wait, we just did with the fucking Da Vinci Code. He trips coming into this bear treehouse thing that they've made.
They have a pretty cool
So-
treehouse.
Yeah, so did they make this thing based on the explorer coming into town, or
No, I
what?
think they already had this like big round nest. I think they already did.
Okay.
Because I think that's what they brought him home to. Like, here's our home.
So
Because
here's what I've read.
even when the explorer leaves, like, there's already the big bridge, and the house is a big like circular
Oh,
nest.
you're right. They are on the bridge. I forgot that
Yeah.
they're waving from the bridge. Okay.
Yeah. So
You're
I'm
right.
thinking all of the little like, all the bells and whistles inside. Now they like
Okay.
want all the London stuff, but
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Now because now they're fascinated by the idea of going to London.
Yeah.
It's definitely a immigration story, a refugee story. Like
Yeah.
that is what is underlying this whole thing. Then the other part of it, and we talked about how he's an orphan. So in the books, it's supposed to be like they are his real aunt and uncle, like
his parents,
blood relatives.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they said it in the second movie.
They apparently
or
haven't had any cubs. They're like the cub that they get to have.
like Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or Luke Skywalker. Paddington
Yes.
is just Luke Skywalker when you think about it.
I like to think of him as Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another orphan. I like to think of him as Harry
He is
Potter.
the friendly neighborhood bear, so
Harry Potter also taken care
true.
of by his aunt and uncle.
yes.
But
And
not
he does...
in the most friendly way.
That's very true. He had a crappy
No one
aunt
comes
uncle.
to get him. Now come to think of it. That's the difference between Paddington and all of those characters that we've talked about. Is that there's no call to adventure from a figure coming into the world, like Obi-Wan or Hagrid.
True.
That's different.
True.
He goes out adventures on his own
so
out of
he is
circumstance.
more Peter Parker then.
Yeah, a little bit. Folks, I don't know if we can get a Paddington bear wearing a Spider-Man outfit. That'd be great. Thanks. Oh, it doesn't quite fit, does it? So, in the movie...
He's trying to pull it on, and his little butt's sticking out. How cute would that be? His ears, he cuts a hole for the ears.
Yeah, he cuts a hole for the ears.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it.
His
See, Rachel's
snout.
picturing it. Yeah.
I love it.
In this series of movies, and I can't remember if they said they say it in the second movie or if it is implied by the writers and director that they just took him in. They like found him as like a stray cub.
Oh.
There is a the thing that's mentioned in here about the retirement home for elderly bears, or
Which I
whatever.
really, she's just gonna go crawl in a hole and die? Or is there
Did
actually...
they show her at the end? They show her at
Yes.
the end there.
I know, but we thought the
I know, I made
entire
that same
movie that
joke,
she's just
where I thought
dead.
she was just telling
And he's
him
writing
that.
letters to her and she's
Yeah.
just dead. And I'm like...
So apparently that's a real thing as well.
Okay.
Like there actually is a retirement home for orphaned cubs and stuff in
Aw.
Peru
Okay.
for the spectacled bears.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
So he shows his uncle that it's Marmalade Day, and the uncle's like, Marmalade. The uncle, Rachel, did you recognize the voice?
Absolutely, immediately.
So Michael Gambon,
Yep.
also known as Dumbledore, is the voice of Uncle Pastuzzo.
Yes.
And Imelda Staunton, did you not recognize that voice? Aunt Lucy?
I don't know if I should have. I don't remember.
Because
if
it's
I
also
did.
a Harry Potter character.
No, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did recognize it right away. What is it?
She puts on a voice in Harry Potter, so you probably wouldn't. It's a Dolores Umbridge.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So like
Fair.
she puts the voice on in HP, so it's not as recognizable.
That's true because it's
Yeah. So yes, so they came in apparently only like a month before the premiere to do the voices. So I guess that just took a while for them to figure out who should voice Lucy and Pastuzzo. And I gotta tell you, I kind of wanted a little bit more of them because they seem very charming as bears.
I
want
wanted
like a
more.
prequel. I want like a
Yes.
prequel of them in Peru
absolutely.
because it feels like I get it. You need to do Uncle Ben. You need to do the
Yes.
Uncle Pastuzzo scene,
Right.
but could have used a little bit more.
I wanted more.
In fact, I feel like I'm going to say that a lot in this episode where I'm going to say I could have used just a little bit more,
Right.
which is fine. The pace of this movie is pretty good.
It's actually pretty good.
And I understand that it is for kids, but it felt like, ooh, just give me a little more detail about that.
Sure, absolutely. It probably
So
would have
where
ended
were
up
we?
being too long for a kid's.
I understand.
Movie then,
I
but yeah.
completely understand.
Is there a director's cut where we could have just a little bit more?
I hope there's a director's cut. So they have this elaborate treehouse equipment, and immediately when Pastuzzo finds out that it's Marmalade Day, he runs out of there, and we get a sequence where Paddington is trying to like climb on Pastuzzo because
Steal
Paddington's
his
small.
hat and
He's like a cub still,
yeah.
or cub size compared to Pastuzzo for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely.
They are running down the big elaborate thing. We find out that, and they're old now because they're old bears.
Yes,
Uncle
they have
Pastuzzo
grays
and
in
Aunt
their
Lucy.
hair. It's very like oh.
And Aunt Lucy walks with a cane.
Yep.
And she can't run, so she takes this what you call it.
It's like it's the elevator for the stairs where you sit in the chair and it goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing. So she
But
takes
on a-
that thing
but on a
down
tree.
the treehouse. Yeah.
Yeah,
Paddington
they have
climbs
a
up-
lot of technology that they've created out of like
Oh, yeah.
just stuff from the jungle.
Paddington climbs a tree. That very, very ingenious, very
Absolutely.
ingenuitive.
They're very like definitely engineers. Definitely.
Which is what I always associate with bears as well, is being very ingenuitive.
They are though. They can get very crafty to get what they need.
Here we go. Better than pigs, Rachel?
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna say yes. Pigs might be smart, but they kind of just hang out. Bears at least like have to, climb trees and
think
stuff
so?
to get their stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I just read a story where pigs were painting walls in English
Oh boy.
and taking over an entire farm. I'm just saying.
Look.
Now there's a
Those are the
crossover.
ones you got to be careful with. All right.
You get. Paddington shows up in
Oh,
England,
no.
and he accidentally stumbles upon Animal Farm.
farm.
Now that is a hell of an idea.
Oh my god.
There's a side quest for him. Oh my
Ooh.
god. Paddington has to then liberate the animals at Animal Farm with Benjamin and
Whoa.
Clover.
Holy cow. Oh man.
Like that idea.
I'm a little
Give me
scared
that.
for Paddington
Give me
at this
that
point. He's
fan
too polite.
fiction.
He's too polite
He
for those
is
pigs.
polite. Yeah, that's gonna be an issue. For those fucking pigs. Paddington climbs a tree and starts tossing oranges down into this contraption, this Rube Goldbergian contraption, and it helps make the marmalade.
Yes.
Lucy makes her own version based on the explorer's recipes or something, so she has her
Right.
own recipe for marmalade.
Absolutely.
They probably catered it to a very berry taste, I would think, at this point.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Lucy reminds them that one day we'll have to give the explorer some when we go to London. And Uncle Pastuzo's like, we have been talking about that trip for 40 years,
40
Harry.
years.
We're never going to go, Harry. Paddington slips on a vine and gets marmalade in his uncle's hat. And then the uncle's like, what did I tell you about touching my hat? It's about time somebody treated me with some respect around here. And then he tries to put the hat on, and marmalade gets all over his head. And he's like,
But
how
it's
embarrassing.
Delicious.
Delicious. I could really... That line in itself, I was like, yeah, Michael Gambon was kind of the only person that could play this
It's
character.
so perfect. Yeah, I love his uncle. He's great.
At night, they listen to a recording that helps... I figured it was helping them learn English.
I bet this is how they learned English. Because,
Yeah, so,
when the guy would, repeat something with, the snow globe, and
Yeah.
then they would repeat something else, it's like,
Yeah.
this is definitely how they did it. But
And
they
he
also
s- and
learned
he
how to
said,
read and
"Oh."
write and stuff, too.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
he
true.
left them books, I
Very
guess.
highly intelligent.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. He left them these recordings of, here's how you can learn more stuff and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're enjoying some of the marmalade that they made that day. And there's one sandwich left, and Paddington's like, oh, I'll take it. And Pastuzo says, nope, that one's mine. You have to keep a marmalade sandwich in your hat, in case of emergency. Good advice.
It's very
Everyone-
good advice. Always have a sandwich
Everyone
in
should
your
keep
hand.
a marmalade. Yes, we are a brother and sister team that always keep a marmalade sandwich in our hats. Well, we're Americans, so it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's the same idea.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a movie.
could just jam
and when
on
we,
toast.
when we do that movie, I will call back to this moment. Little Giants. That fat kid keeps a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his helmet.
He does. Oh my
So it is
god.
something
This is where he learned
That
it.
is done.
Paddington.
At least by little fat children. As they relax, an earthquake comes, which it's Peru. It's gonna happen. And this is a
felt
big one,
like
though.
way more than an earthquake. I was like,
Well, it's a bad one. I thought it was gonna be like a volcano eruption or something.
Oh, sure. We didn't get to see any of the if the ground cracked or anything. It's just the quake itself, just
It just
destroys
takes everything
everything. The marmalade, the house, all the
Yeah, the poor
trees in the
marmalade.
area. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They have to get out of there. They have to rush off to the shelter.
Yes.
And I felt bad that the marmalade all fell, because I was like, oh, all your marmalade's falling all over the place.
Right. Well, they were able to save some. We find out later they were able to save a lot.
Yeah, they saved some. Yeah. Pastuzo lifts a log because Lucy slips.
Oh my
'cause
God.
She's got the cane. I was actually hoping that what
I
would have happened was
gasped.
you needed to have Paddington should have been running through the trees, and then Pastuzo could have been carrying Lucy. I think is what
Yes.
should have happened.
I agree. I feel like that is what should have happened. I hate that he was just kind of left out.
Yeah, I guess it's
why
a
did
kids
he not
movie.
continue to follow? What was he staring at that made him stop?
Well, you see, he didn't want Paddington to come back and get him, because then that would have revealed all of Paddington's alien powers, so he just had to accept his death
Yeah.
for the good of his adopted son.
Because it's like,
You know?
I understand that the house was getting destroyed, but
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Don't come Yeah.
No, don't make this like a Superman thing. All right, we're not doing that stupid Superman scene.
I agree, though,
where he
because
goes, "No, don't save me." If there was enough time for you to say that, there was enough time for his ass to get in there. It would have been fine.
100%. I'm taking a
Stupid.
second. So what happens here,
Stupid.
Rachel? What happens to poor Pastuza?
So Lucy and Paddington get into the shelter, which they have like this very
The same
Wizard of
shelter
Oz
from
shelter.
Twister.
Yeah, or Twister. You know, if there's a tornado, they have this shelter for it.
Yeah.
Pazoo.
No, I was doing that. I was gonna make that joke a million times.
I can't say
Go
his
ahead.
name.
His Uncle Pazuzu. Yeah.
Pazuzu?
I am Pazuzu.
Zuzu. Damn it. There's no crossover with The Exorcist. This is Paddington. We're not getting back on the religious topic.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Oh, you just got pea soup everywhere then, didn't you? Well, that's fine.
Is
That's
it
quite okay.
Is this marmalade?
All right. Okay. So yes, Uncle Pazuzu.
Is it Pazuzu? Or how do you say it? Because I can't...
Pastuzo.
Pastuzo. Okay. God damn it. Every time. I was doing it earlier.
I even put it in my notes. Make Pazuzu joke. Like, so I'm glad that we got that out of the way.
Anyways. Pastuzo is mesmerized by the fact that their house is being completely destroyed from this earthquake.
Yeah.
And is left out, most likely crushed by the trees that are all falling.
Yeah. You never find out what happens. They get up in the morning, and then Paddington and Lucy come out of the shelter, and this place is just
annihilated.
Leveled. Yeah,
these
all
ginormous
the trees are down.
trees, like ginormous, gone.
Yeah, so it's completely destroyed the forest, and they can't find Pastuzo, and all they find is his hat. Yes. So I get it's.
I don't
it's
know
a
if
little
it's
kid's...
just his hat. It might be behind that log, and we just don't get to see it.
And we just don't get to see it, and it's a little kid movie, so they don't want to show the kids.
Right. This was enough for me to want to cry, so I understand.
You see Mufasa
That's
die.
true.
You see his body. So,
yeah, but this is too realistic.
Okay. I'm fine.
I mean,
with
I guess
it,
in the live action they do the same thing, but in
but
this,
it's a shitty
just,
movie.
right? But in this, it's like it's too realistic. It's sad
Yeah.
enough when we have to see them like hugging and just distraught. So
Yeah, I do kind of agree though that I wish that there was a better reason that he couldn't make it to the shelter. He's just in shock of seeing the treehouse fall.
yes,
and doesn't keep running. And I don't know what it would have been, but it obviously could have been just saving Lucy and
I mean,
and
even if
Paddington.
another tree fell, like he had to lift it up and they had to get out, or like he had to lift it up so they could get into the shelter. That would make sense too. Like there was like a tree fell onto the shelter or something like that.
It's quite sad for a
very
character
sad.
we've known for like 3 minutes.
Yes.
To just and you're just like, oh my god, how sad. And the only items left are the hat and the snow globe.
And some marmalade.
And some marmalade. And I wrote, oh, how British to have this, like, ridiculously sad opening with this aunt and uncle and then Paddington becoming slightly orphaned. So they're like, what are we going to do? Because we don't have a home anymore.
Right.
We don't know where to go. And Lucy thinks of the only thing that she can think of, which is, we cannot rebuild.
Rebuilding
So
would be way too hard. Yeah.
I'm too old to rebuild.
And Paddington's
I'm going to go into
small.
a hole and die, is what Rachel was
Well,
thinking.
I was very concerned when she does this. So they use like a canoe that they created to go down the river, right? They find
another story that could have been told. We have to go to London. They could have like gone to like a tribe or something. Like there could have been like a little pit stop.
Yes.
Like some sort of like
and they were like helping them
Amazonian
along
village.
the way almost.
Yeah.
Like one of them told her about like the retirement place, which is actually real. Okay. Spoiler alert, it's real. I didn't know if it was. I was very concerned.
I want all the kids to know that it's real out there.
But they go and they find a cargo ship, and she puts him on the
a dockyard.
Right. And she puts him onto the cargo ship.
Totally a World War II analogy for either Jewish refugees trying to get to London or kids in London trying to get to the countryside. Because she even brings it up. This is where I was like, holy shit. I didn't realize, like, that it was
this was
deep
the first
like
time
this.
it was put. Yes.
I did like the amount of tools that they had. Lucy says she's too old and tired to go. She's going to go to the home for retired bears, like you said. I wrote down, is she telling him that? And that's even, like, creepier, because she's just like, yeah, don't worry about me. I'm going to go to the home for retired bears.
Yes. That's what I was thinking, too. I was like, oh, my God. This is so sad. It's like the freaking dog going to the farm type of thing. It's like, why are you saying this?
So then Paddington says, well, what if they don't like bears in London? And she explains that in Britain there was a war, and kids were scattered, given labels around their necks. Unknown families took them in. They will not have forgotten how to treat a stranger. And I was like, this is fucking so sad. Especially when everyone just treats each other like
garbage.
Shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because they've only ever known and only learned from that one snippet of time that they got everything from that man. Like, they learned nothing that happened afterwards, and so that's all she knows.
Right. And there are legitimate concerns and stuff with refugees and immigration and all of that kind of stuff. I completely get that. But some people do not treat that as a human issue. They treat it as just vile, much more antagonistic side. Where it's like, well, in times, the shittiest time in that we had here, like, people stood up for others, and she's like...
And it's how we protected
we were
each
taught
other.
Manners, and that's how we're going... You know, I assume that people are going to be just as mannerly now.
Right.
He leaves on the tanker, and he's got the marmalade to drink on the way. Being a bear, he eats it all in a very Winnie the Pooh-esque fashion.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I could see Pooh being like,
cute.
Oh, all I have is this honey, and then, like,
he goes, I'll
do
just
like a
do
pan
one
of
thing, and then
2 seconds
like,
later, then he just goes, oh, bother. They do a good animation, though, of him being full, because he, like, eats all of the marmalade.
Yes, and the jars
Except
are just
for
in the corner. How?
He has one sandwich in his hat.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He does keep the sandwiches in his hat because of his Uncle Pastuzzo. I had to look at the word.
Well, because you're so used to the other word.
I just didn't understand how all of those jars fit in his little suitcase. Like, there was a lot of jars. All right,
that's a good point.
You took me out of the fantasy there.
Yep.
All right?
Yeah.
It's not a bottomless suitcase.
Definitely a plot hole. He doesn't have a Newt Scamander-esque suitcase. Are we supposed to believe that this is some sort of magical suitcase?
Do you have Time Lord technology? I don't understand.
I mean, I know Doctor Who's in the movie, but do we have to believe that this is some sort of science fiction suitcase? So fuck you, guy that mentions that it's Paddington. They make it to the dock. Okay. Is there a fart joke here?
Yes. I literally said that. I went, is that a fart joke? I literally said that out loud because he, like, went to lift his leg.
He lifts his leg, and the horn blows for the freighter.
And then he looks down. Like, he made the noise.
I did not remember the
that's why I went, was that a fart joke?
Then that's definitely a fart joke. Okay.
And this is why I can't watch kids' movies.
Well, because like, I was giving this movie so much credit, and then I'm like, is that a fart joke? I mean, it's a fine fart joke.
It was subtle enough.
It's a very British fart joke.
It was fine. It was fine. But damn it, why is there always a fart joke?
He lifted up his fanny, and then we heard the big boom.
Is a fanny... a fanny's not a butt, though, to them.
Yes, it is. What? Folks at home.
You want me to... hold on, I'm going to teach you something right now, Kev.
Is it a bum? Should I say he lived in his
bum? That's right.
We call it a fanny here.
Yeah, and that's why they always go, what the hell did you just call it? Because that's female genitalia.
What?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
When they say, like, oh, she wore a short dress that you could nearly see her fanny, does not mean her butt. I can tell you that.
Really?
Yes.
How in the world did that get flipped? How strange. Anyway, alright, fine. He lifted his bum and then we heard a boom. Paddington sneaks off the boat, first hiding in the mail. So he puts himself in a mail package.
Yeah.
So somebody's missing out on a lot.
That's
of mail.
what I thought.
He's actually in the.
I was like,
here in
I'm
the,
wondering.
folks, here in the States, he just committed a Class A felony.
That's felony.
Here by stealing all that mail.
Part of me wonders, though, did he take the mail out so he would fit? So maybe he put it in other bags?
There's some mail that spills out when he gets out, doesn't he?
I don't know.
So he gets to Paddington Station because that's the mail service is being taken in
Right.
to into the train station, and he unwraps himself and he looks on in amazement. And I like this little part because he's just standing there and he's just kind of in awe of the fact that like he's in London. What
Right.
he's been told by his aunt and uncle, like here he is. That would be an astonishing viewpoint for a bear
Right.
or anything.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The people in the busy station don't pay any attention to the fact that a bear is trying to talk to them or amongst them walking around.
No, not at all. They're too busy. They're in their own little worlds. There's this little bear trying to say, how do you do? Nobody's...
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm trying to find a home. I've been told that I could find a home here.
Oh, it's so
Yes.
sad.
That's why I like the fact that they do have the statue up of him, because it's supposed to be a remembrance of these orphans trying to find, like people
Yes.
are trying to find a home.
Right.
They don't even realize that like he's asking where he can find a home, and he stays until nighttime when it's now empty, and then he doesn't know where to go. And I was like, oh, very cinematic. He sits in front of the lost and found sign,
I know.
and the
It's
found
so cute.
lights are off.
It's so cute that he's sitting on his little briefcase. There's a little lost and found
That's
sign.
the statue that's in front of for platform 1 is
love
of him
that.
sitting on the briefcase.
Oh.
A pigeon comes and asks for food, and being Paddington and trying to be polite and nice to all things,
Yes.
he gives him a bite of his emergency sandwich.
And they're just gonna swarm you now. Oh, you gave us some bread? Oh.
Oh, don't get Rachel started on pigeons. I don't know.
I
I'm just
knew it
saying,
was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. Those dang
So,
pigeons.
A bunch of pigeons come.
You try to be nice, and then
A
they
bunch of
all
CGI.
are like, "Come on."
Yeah, you give one of these things. You give one of these things Tree Fitty, they're gonna all come back and try to get the Tree Fitty. You just give one of these things a piece of your sandwich, then they all fucking come for your sandwich, and then the next thing you know, they're gonna take your job away from you. The pigeons are also representing xenophobia.
Yes. I do like that when they do kind of swarm him, because you can't all be having emergencies. Like, he's trying to, still reason with them.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah. He tries to shoo them away, and then he's like, I like the line where he says he needs to look presentable.
Yes.
Because he's like, you need to get out of here. I'm trying to look presentable so I can find a home.
Yes. But instead he looks like he's on his little soapbox to, sell his wares.
He's panhandling or something, yeah. A family comes off the train. The kids seem like brats. The dad is not totally encouraging of them at all.
No.
They seem like a, business, oh, we're very proper, we have these things, and we are supposed to act this way, and you're supposed to act this way, and this is how we
the mom did jump naked into a lake on their vacation, so I don't think she's
Did they
business,
say
business,
that?
business. Yes.
I did not.
How
I
did you
missed
miss
that.
that whole conversation? They were on vacation. Hold up. They went to the Victorian wool experience, all right? And they spent time together as a family learning about wool, right? And the mom jumps into
All right,
a
that's
lake.
a good joke.
And she... and Judy's yelling at her because it's like, you did it naked. And she goes, well, I didn't have, that's just the way it is. That's custom. That's what you're supposed to do. And I was
my God.
the mom is a total free spirit. You can already feel it, right?
Yeah, the mom is kind of hippy
love
dippy.
her.
Okay. I was gonna say she's kind of crazy.
Oh no, she's
a
nuts, and I
nutter.
love her.
Total nutter.
Total nutter, and I love her.
The dad says there's some sort of bear over there. He's probably selling something.
Yes, he says stranger danger.
So in this universe, bears can just talk, I guess. Whatever. Then the mom comes up and says hi to him. And as she says this, the found light blinks on. I wish they would have done it slightly subtler.
It kind of just flashes for a second.
Just do it in the background a bit. Like, they even have, like, a sound effect, like, beep, beep, beep. Like, it makes it brings attention to itself a bit.
I think it was pretty subtle.
For a kid's movie, yeah, it's not bad. Family wants them to keep going and for him to just move on. But she asks why he isn't at home. Well, he's a bear. Like,
well, he's also a cub. He's also a baby, you know.
All right. But I did want, like, one of them to be like, he's a bear. Like, just acknowledge, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean he's not at home? He's a bear. He explains that his parents died when he was small.
Yeah.
And then the boy starts to ask...
Well, then he talked about his aunt, how she went to retire in the retirement home in Peru, right?
They ask what kind of bear he is, and he's like, I'm a rare bear. There aren't many left of us.
Yes.
And they're like, well, what was your plan? What's your plan? And he goes, I figured I would go sleep in that bin.
Yes.
And the dad, very, very funny timing on this, because he goes, I figured I'd go sleep in that bin over there. And the dad goes, that's the spirit. I like that part. I like that joke. I think that works very, very well.
Oh,
Humor is very on
point.
It was great. The comedic timing, very, very good in this.
It's very good. The boy came and asked how he got there, and he said he stowed away in a boat. And then he said, and I ate marmalade. Did you know that bears like marmalade? That's what he says to them.
Yes, he had his script ready for whatever he was going to,
it seems
say
like
to these people.
Yeah. It pans into his the ticket around his neck, the little paper around his neck.
Oh, yes.
And
she gets taken in
and
by
she
the
reads it and just kind of just is like, oh. And, like, you can tell she's just like, I have to take him home.
Yes. Because it says, please
look after this bear.
Look after this bear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all it says.
It's very sad.
This movie made me want to cry way too many times. I think I was way too emotional watching it, I'm telling you.
We've rescued dogs in our lives.
Oh,
here
absolutely.
With mom and dad, or you yourself.
Yes.
So it has that feeling of it, too. Of, like, the bears being very charming. We've had dogs that have played it up and knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah, they did.
But like, he's just trying to be himself and is
absolutely
charming this mom at the very least. So of course then it cuts to the dad. Of all of the people that you left with Paddington, you left the dad, who does not want anything to do with this bear. But they left Paddington with the dad at the diner.
Yes.
This is the scene where the dad asks what his name is, and he goes, it's a good joke.
What's your name? Do bears even have names?
Of course we do. My name is...
Beg your pardon? Right.
Well, go on. You try it. Fuck off the throat. Mr. Brown, that is extremely rude.
And he just put it like, yep, that's my name.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he's like, oh, I like that he's like, oh, go ahead, try it. Say my name.
Go ahead, say my name. And he tries.
The dad tries.
He actually tries, which I'm surprised about. At first,
because everyone in this movie's trying to be polite.
Yes.
Even the dad, who's like, I don't want
who
this
doesn't
bear
want
with
to
us.
be polite.
Yeah, is still trying to be polite.
Yes. But then he says it, right? He goes, and then he goes, well, that was extremely rude, Mr. Brown.
He goes, Mr. Brown, that is extremely rude.
It's so cute.
The family comes back and says, we have to take him home. There's no one here. There's no one here for him. And the mom says to take him home until they find the right people to look after him. And the
Where
dad...
did they go?
I assume they either went to there's probably a police station within Paddington Station, or just to try to find like the main headquarters of like where the tickets are sold or something, to just kind of ask like, is there
them.
Yeah, can we get them to the city or something?
Just like anybody looking for a lost bear.
Yeah, yes.
I'm assuming
I'm a lost bear.
Well, because then she just comes back and she goes, he has to stay with us. So my assumption is nobody's looking for him.
Well, and it's after hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The dad reluctantly agrees, and they ask what is, for his name, and they're like, well, not many people can say it in English. So if he wants an English name...
I do like he eyes the dad, too, during that. He's just like, well, not many people can say it.
And the mom names him Paddington, since that's where they found
Paddington
him.
Station.
But I did like, there's like a sideline, like, while this is happening, the Paddington is holding a bottle of ketchup,
which is like shaped as a tomato.
He tries to bite it, and
says
Paddington
it's not
goes,
right.
That's not quite right. And the dad, because the mom's like, that's it, that's what we're going to name him. And the dad goes, you're going to name him Ketchup.
Yes.
But like, it's almost like over, because it's that British comedy.
Yeah.
He says it, and the mom's like, no, Paddington. Like, it's almost like so quick you could almost miss it.
Right. But that's what I like about this comedy, is like very quick wit.
Yes.
It's very fun. It's
even
just very
in this
quick
kids
wit.
movie, it is very just quick, very quick. This is where I give this movie a lot of credit. I think a lot of kids movies will throw joke after fucking joke after lowbrow joke after joke at a wall and see what sticks. And this is like, no, we're taking very measured, precise shots at what we know is funny. And if the kid gets it, they get it. And if the adult gets it, they get it.
Right.
But this is precise shots to be funny.
Yes.
Kid can laugh at the growling joke.
Of course.
A kid can even laugh maybe at the ketchup joke, but if they don't catch it, that's fine.
Right.
The adult caught it, and the adult thought that was cute.
Yes. Because even after that, he gets all excited, like, oh, Paddington! And he squeezes that ketchup bottle, hits somebody with it, who says, oh! And he goes, oh, sorry! And then he continues on. Like, nothing happened. It's very quick. So, like, if they didn't catch that the dad said something about ketchup, they at least got the squirt, that's like funny.
I didn't realize that it was a bottle of ketchup. I didn't know what he picked up, because I don't know if it's
explained
a standard.
it, too.
I don't know if it's a standard in London to have that, like a different shape, like a shape like a tomato or not.
Which is kind
for
of
us,
clear.
It's cylindrical. Yeah, I
right.
liked it.
I think it's really cute, because it's like, even if you get like lemon and lime juice, sometimes you can get them in the bottles
sometimes you can
that
get,
are like that. So
like
why
lemons.
can't I have some ketchup and a tomato? That would be so fun.
Folks at home, if you could please send a ketchup bottle tomato shape to Shelf Life Podcast. We get Paddington going home with the family, seeing the sights of the city. This joke was terrific. I think I might have actually applauded at this joke. So you get the typical London montage of them seeing Piccadilly Square and Big Ben and like all of these different sights, right?
Yes.
The Ferris wheel and all this stuff. And then they finally get to the house. And the dad, as they
I did just see the guy too on the chair.
Oh yeah,
that's
where you see the author. Yep, that's where you see Michael Gold, or Michael Bond. I'm sorry, Michael Bond.
I didn't mean to stop you, but go on.
No, so the dad gets out of the cab and goes, "What kind of a route was that?" And the cabbie goes, "Well, the bear said it was his first time in London. I thought I'd show him the sights." So the cabbie purposely took them on that route.
Which means that price went up.
Yes, that is a phenomenal joke.
Oh, it's great.
That's a fantastic joke, because it's a joke about how, anytime there's a big city, you have to go past all the sites, even though they're always miles apart from each other.
Of course.
That's a great joke.
Of course, now the cabbie, you wouldn't know this one. He's way newer on Doctor Who, but he's also in Doctor Who.
There's only so many British actors.
They're
all in the same show.
Just letting you know.
But is he in Harry Potter, Rachel? That's the question. Is he in a Bond?
I wouldn't
know. The
voice
voice of Paddington?
How would I know?
I don't know. Stay tuned, folks. So anyway, Paddington walks in and is amazed at this house, walking in for the first time. He says it's wonderful. They have this tree, which makes sense when you find out what the mom does.
Yeah, she's an artist.
They have this tree painted on the staircase. They have a spiral staircase going up the middle of the house, and there's like a tree painted on the wall behind it.
It's almost like if there was a real tree there, it would be like you'd go around the tree to get up the stairs, I think is the idea of that painting.
Yep.
Which I think is very cute. I like that.
I figured it kind of reminded him of home a bit.
Yes.
It's like a tree house.
Absolutely. And it's tall.
Yeah. The dad says it is... I guess I should just keep calling them Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown. Let's just do that, because
I always call it the dad and the mom. Yeah, you're right.
I know. But either way. Mr. Brown says it is not his home. It's just for the night. They tell him that he needs a proper guardian. And he says, well, like you? And they're like, not like us, like a proper guardian. And he goes,
like, yes, I technically would be one, but not you.
Like you, but not you.
He immediately understands, so it's not like he's stupid.
And then we get an orphanage joke because they tell...
Oh my God.
They'll take him to a government facility, and then the little boy... Is it Jonathan? Is that the name of the boy? No, Judy is the girl. Jonathan says...
Yes, Jonathan.
Like an orphanage?
Like an orphanage? And it cuts and it's like...
Yeah, like Arkham Asylum is looking orphanage. And he says, no, not an orphanage. But, and then the dad gives this sequence of words that means an orphanage but not, and it does not help Paddington think it's better or worse. He still thinks it's Arkham Asylum.
Well, Paddington, I don't even know if he's the one imagining that, because how the hell would he know what that looks like? It's got to be like the sun again, right?
I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, I always think that we're in Paddington's viewpoint, but yeah, I guess that is just a cutaway joke in one way, shape, or form. It could be the sun thinking it.
It would be more like an institute for young souls whose parents have sadly passed on.
Yeah. The kids in this movie don't have a ton to do, which is probably fine. They give Paddington a bath a little bit later, but they don't really do a lot.
No, I feel like they could be interactive a little bit more, but it's more Paddington. And then it feels more like the mom.
It should be Paddington.
It's more like Mr. and Mrs. Brown having more to do with
it's really more
Mr.
and Mrs. Brown. Yes. Yeah. Like, if you put the kids in it too much, it would become about them. It'd be Paddington trying to help solve their problems.
Yeah.
And I don't think you want that. You want the focus to be on Paddington.
Right.
So
it makes more sense that he would interact with the adults who are trying to find him a place to go.
Yeah. Because one thing I could say about this is the motivations are all very, very one note. Of the humans.
I think so.
Which for a little kid movie, again, is okay, but it could have been deeper. It could have been a little something more if you wanted to really say. And Paddington's like, well, what about the man who visited us, the explorer? And they're like, okay, what was his name? Paddington goes, I don't know. They always just called him... Because
they didn't know English back then.
Right, yeah. They didn't know how to say his name.
They didn't know how to say it, and once they learned, it was kind of like lost for them.
Right.
Which is kind of upsetting, because you'd think he would have said it on one of his recordings, but unfortunately, the man never did.
Wrote it down for them or something, yeah. Mrs. Brown asks if he'd like to freshen up first. And he's like, is that something that people do? Yeah, and she's like, yes. And he's like, okay, then I'll do that.
And then he takes the banister up the stairs, which is like...
Yes,
because it's like, I guess it's like... I thought it was like maybe because it's like a tree branch to him.
I figured. I kind of wondered if that was part of Paddington lore, that he rides the
banister.
Banister
probably.
instead of going up the steps.
I could totally see that.
Mr. Brown tries to add insurance for the fact that the bear is staying for the night, which later we find out that he's a claims adjuster, so it makes sense that that's like his first instinct is to do something like that. I thought that was kind of funny. And then I was like, they've got a maid. What the hell is this? And then it turns out it's not a maid. It's Mrs. Bird, who is a classic Paddington character.
And a relative.
She's a relative, like an old aunt or something like that.
I like her.
You liked Mrs. Bird?
Yes.
She doesn't trust microwaves.
She's a very hardy woman. Like, she's very capable of, like, everything.
Mrs. Bird, played by Julie Walters, who I feel like you've seen in stuff, Rachel. Oh, of course you have. Do you have any idea who Julie Walters is, Rachel?
She's very familiar. Oh.
Yeah, she should be.
No. No, she's not.
It's a heyday film, so they're all in this. So, for those that don't know, Mrs. Bird is played by Julie Walters, who plays
Molly.
Mrs. Yeah.
Molly Weasley.
I was like, Molly Ringwald? That's not right.
That's funny.
Yeah, so they're all in this.
Oh, I've seen her in Mamma Mia, I believe, as well, and probably The Secret Garden. That seems like something, yeah.
Well, and even Sally Hawkins, who plays Mrs. Brown, was in The Shape of Water. She plays the main character in The Shape of Water and stuff.
That's right.
So just a who's who in this cast.
Oh, she's the witch's voice in Brave. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I'm sorry. She's in a lot of stuff. Holy cow.
Yeah. No, she's in quite a bit. Paddington doesn't know what to do in the bathroom. So he takes that's weird to him. Right, because what the hell's he gonna do? He poops in the woods like a bear.
I assume, because we don't have to know any of this, that he learns how to use the toilet. Because otherwise, where's he going?
Mm-hmm. I bet that was a book. I bet there's a book about Paddington learns how to poop. That could have been a book to teach kids how to poo.
Probably. It could
Paddington uses
really
the
be
turlet.
it. Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do with the toothbrushes, so he cleans his ears with them.
Gross.
You know what, though? It looked really satisfying.
It did,
Like,
honestly, because he got a lot out.
He pulls out these toothbrushes, and there's just a lot of gunk.
He
that
probably
was stuck
could
in his
barely hear,
ears.
and now he's like, whoosh.
I know the feeling. Folks at home, not to be gross,
Aw.
but my ears get clogged with earwax from my allergies. I remember going to, and I need to do this more
Oh, when
often.
they do
I
that,
went
where
to
they like squirt in your ear.
I went to the doctor once, and I had like an ear infection. He was like, I'm going to do the squirt thing, and like, it fizzled like crazy. I thought I was going to lose my hearing, and he pulled it out. And he was like, "This was in your ear," and it was like black, and I could hear like decibels louder. It was so bizarre, very bizarre. I probably should go do it again.
Crazy.
He licks the earwax.
Yeah, why? I mean, it's an animal.
Yeah.
Your dog will do the same thing, where they're gonna like go, "Oh, let me scratch my ear," and then they smell their foot. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a dog do that, but they do it.
I don't know if I have, but I mean, I don't think that's only animals. Like, I could see humans doing that. Kids lick their boogers
that's
and
true.
shit.
Kids are gross, so they'd probably do the same thing.
He doesn't like the taste of the earwax, so
course
he
not.
then chugs some mouthwash, but it's too spicy for him, so he needs to get a drink, and he doesn't know where to get a drink because
And he doesn't
know
realize the
to
sink
turn
works.
on the sink.
Yeah.
So he sticks his head in the toilet because that's where the water is. But then he can't get his head out of the toilet, so then it clogs the toilet and it overflows the bathroom because he accidentally pulls down the lever
like the
for
toilet
the
paper
flush.
holder fell into the toilet, and then he flushes it, and it's stuck, and then everything starts breaking.
So just wacky mayhem.
Oh yeah, and then the
for a kid's
entire
movie.
room fills with water.
Yeah, so as that's happening, the dad says he's going to stay in the attic, and he's telling Mrs. Brown that it's a made-up story. There is no explorer. He's just trying to gain sympathy from you. It's like a tactic. It's a sad sack story, yeah, to get somebody to fall in love with him.
Right.
The mom fell for it. And as the dad climbs the stairs, he tries to so he's sitting at the table, and he says, like, it's not going to start raining inside or something like that. And because of all of the way that the room is filling up with water starts to leak through the ceiling, which would probably collapse the whole thing, and they'd have terrible, terrible damage in this house. The hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage is happening here.
Oh my god. Insane.
The dad climbs the stairs. He tries to get the insurance before opening the door and having the water rain upon down him. I don't think he has any luck. And then Paddington flies down the stairs and into the kitchen
in the
bathroom. Or in the bathtub, yes.
You've literally brought a random bear into this house. There, somebody said it, Kevin. Somebody said it.
But a random bear. Like, they're saying
I
bear
guess it's like
they
a
would
stranger,
say person.
like a random person. Yeah.
It's not like you'd say, like, yeah, we know the bear three doors down.
You brought a bear into the house.
At this point, I would have said, okay, that's it. Get out. Bear cub or no bear cub, get out. The kid thinks it's amazing, though, Jonathan does, and they don't kick him out. They just stick him into the attic. While he's in the attic...
I feel like the mom was just like, just let him stay in the attic. It's fine.
Yeah. Just stay in the attic, we'll
Mrs.
clean.
Bird will fix it.
Mrs. Bird will fix it. We don't know how we're related to her. We don't know why we call her Mrs. Bird, but she'll fix it.
Well, maybe they are related to her, and she's like on one of their sides, but she married a Mr. Bird who was in the Navy, and that's why she's Mrs. Bird, and she's not a Brown.
No, why the Navy? What does the Navy have to do with it?
Did you not know about that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, so her husband was a naval man. He was a sailor.
I must not have picked that up.
I guess not Navy, but he was a sailor. And she likes everything ship shape, and she knows how to fix stuff.
Oh,
because
does
of him.
Paddington tell us this in the dollhouse?
Oh yeah,
sequence?
in the story.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I jumped the gun on that one.
I didn't. I still don't think I remember that. So,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
No, that's
why I
fine.
like her, because she's just like, all right, I got this. Like, he taught me everything I know. And part of me was just like, maybe she was the sailor and she was faking it and pretending she was a guy. You know what I mean?
Never know.
Like,
We could find that out in the sequel, that she Mulan'd herself into the British
damn
Navy.
straight.
He writes a letter to Aunt Lucy. He says hardly anyone says hello or wears hats.
So sad.
And apparently you can't get a home just from being at the station. I would almost leave all this out. Don't let Aunt Lucy know how, like, it's kind of hard right now, or there's a struggle.
Yeah, because he's just like, it's just not how we all imagined it. It's just like, oh, your dreams are just shattered.
Henry says that they are sending the bear to the authorities, and Paddington writes about the Browns. Is this where you get the... Not yet. This isn't where you get the dollhouse sequence yet, or is it?
No, this is where it does.
Okay.
Yes, this is where we go into the dollhouse sequence, which is very fun.
I liked this style.
It
came out of nowhere, but I liked how they did it.
Well,
I
think this is definitely...
It made it more engaging,
yes.
I think, to get all this information out.
I think it was very his way of thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it all, like, goes about in the house. Like, I loved this.
It felt like in sequels you're going to see Paddington with a Beetlejuice-esque model of the house in the attic.
I mean, that is the dollhouse. That is the house in the attic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like he's like going to make a little London model.
He just makes a whole London and he's like, "Rawr, I'm the monster." That's
Put
all
that
I
strip
can
club
imagine.
there.
He's very Godzilla-esque.
I didn't put that strip club there. I did. We need to get Beetlejuice out of there. Beetlejuice is just in his attic.
It just is Beetlejuice. It's not a different character that's like
hello
Beetlejuice.
There. No, it's just is Beetlejuice. Have
Hello
I died?
There. No, you just need to say my name.
Death.
Yeah, that's right. You just have to say my name 3 times, kid. Oh, I can do that for you, sir. No problem.
It's so much harder working with these bears. So anyway, this is a part where I also give it a little bit of credit for the screenwriting, because everything that they say in this little montage in the dollhouse does come back. It's small, it's one note, it's whatever, but it comes back.
Yes.
As a kid watching it, you could watch it and maybe not pick up on all of it, but as you watch it as you get older, you can be like, oh yeah, then this happens, and this happens.
And it was
it's
very clever.
Structured in that way.
Yes.
Paddington writes about the Browns. Henry is a risk analyst. His wife illustrates adventure stories. She doesn't know how to finish the drawings that she's doing right now. She can't picture...
The hero.
The hero, yeah.
And I said,
yeah,
I know who that's going to end up being.
Like. Patty. I thought she was going to make it a bear.
Oh my god, could you imagine if it all of a sudden just goes... It's just a fluffy bear with a red hat. All, like, burly, though, like a man.
Oh, one thing I was going to mention. When we were talking about how... they're going to take him to the authorities, and they're because like he needs a proper guardian, but not him. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that mirrors another South Park episode that we've covered in Starvin' Marvin, where the boys keep saying, "Well, why can't you take care of him?" Right. It's like, well, somebody could take care of him, but not me. Somebody else has to take it. Like, it's that same idea where it's like, well, yes, somebody like me, but not me.
Right.
It's the old, like, yes, we want this taken care of.
We want this they want to
not
help,
by
but
me.
Right, but somebody else needs to do it.
I totally get that. And I totally say, like, the whole time, of course. Like, we at Shelf Life encourage you to give your time and money, depending on what you are capable of, to all sorts of charitable endeavors.
Absolutely.
But I don't need to be taking in every animal at the shelter.
I want
even
to.
though I would want to.
I just can't.
It's not responsible.
Right.
So anyway, I know I interrupted there, but she doesn't know how to finish the drawings. She's going to the sewers to try and gain some inspiration and wants to know if her daughter wants to come with. And look, she rejects it via teenager. She does teenager things. I like Paddington's line of, she suffers from something called embarrassment.
Yes.
Because she's always embarrassed.
Right. I do also like how the mom is very on board with this Tony guy, too. She's just like, oh, who's Tony? Yeah. You could bring Tony. Let's do that. Like... Yeah.
Well, like you said, she's very, very free spirit in this.
I love this mom.
The daughter's not wrong, though. Like, you want me to go down in the sewers with you?
It is
weird. What's wrong with you?
Because that's in her book. It's in the sewers.
It's very odd.
And I kept thinking, oh my god, she's so adventurous. And I kept going, maybe she's related to the adventurer and just doesn't know it.
That's what I thought the twist was going to be.
Or I thought the dad was related, but became boring.
Yeah,
you know, down the line because he didn't want to go adventure.
Yeah, I completely thought that you were going to find out that they were related to Clyde the adventurer.
Yeah,
that's where I thought it was going.
I was like, is this just like a fate thing?
Do you think that would have been better?
I like it either way. I'm okay either way, honestly. The way it pans out is fine because it works with how like everything actually wraps up and works.
Sure.
But I kind of liked. It's a fantastical story.
You
so
like that
the
it's just kind of a
fake
random
thing-
family?
I like that it's a random family, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I would have liked that there was some kind of connection.
Yeah,
At the
I go
same
back and forth
time,
on it.
it's
'Cause
hard because I don't know.
I don't always like the fact that I don't like chosen one stories
Sure.
a lot. I want it to be, I want more everyman, because then it is more
absolutely.
like, you can do this too, kid.
Yes.
As
So
opposed
that's
to like,
kinda
you can't do
nice.
this, you're not the chosen one.
That he just
And I
fits
don't
into
like
a
the
family
Star
that
Wars-
he's not like half adopted from anyways.
Yeah. And the Star Wars thing is always like, why is everyone related to each other? But at the same time, it would
Then
have
they
made...
weren't, so I don't know how that is even true anyways, but
But then it
whatever.
would have made some sense that the mom is so willing to take Paddington in because she's heard
Because-
stories
well, that's-
from...
Yes, and
That's why
part
I
of me-
thought that's where it
part
was
of me was
going.
just like, you're always going to be welcome, and in her head, that's kind of like just the way she was brought up. Of course,
brought
he's
up.
going to be welcome because it's already
Yeah.
a part of like what was droned into her. Of
Right.
course, he's going to be welcomed.
Right.
So that's where
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. So either way would be fine by me. This is fine too. I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
definitely okay with that. It's just a random family.
I have my
Spoiler
qualms with the villain that I'll get to.
Oh, she's
I have issues with it. But yeah, okay. So anyway, he talks about how Judy is learning Mandarin. I like the
Yeah.
little insider trading joke.
Yes, that was funny.
That was funny. I don't know what that's necessarily referencing
I don't
in
know.
2014.
But I also
mean,
love it. Well, I mean, she's learning Chinese for business,
Yeah.
so
Yes,
that's
right.
I think why it's the insider
Oh yeah,
trading
and in,
stuff.
and in that period of time when this movie came out, Hollywood in particular was obsessed with trying to get the Chinese market.
Oh sure.
So that is
Any way
that's
to
actually
like
kind
pop
of
it
a
in
bit-
there, sure.
Yeah, that is kind of a meta joke because like the year before this or the year after this, there's like a whole Hong Kong subplot in Age of Ultron that was just for the Chinese market. Like it didn't even happen.
I think I remember you telling
in this
me. Yeah,
movie
mhm.
and like all that stupid shit that they were trying to do, and then they totally gave up on it because they realized that the Chinese don't like any of the American movies unless it's
Anyways,
like
yeah.
super big and loud. They do not like it. So
Sure.
anyway,
Jonathan wants to be an astronaut.
he wants to be an astronaut. He's only allowed to play inside now though after hurting himself outside.
He's pretty much an engineer. So he just tinkers with stuff to try to make crazy things like rocket boots, and then he hurt himself.
He doesn't think it's the home he was really hoping for if they go to the orphanage. So he thinks that if he goes to the orphanage, he's not really going to get the home that he was hoping he would get,
Right.
which this is the home that he was thinking he would get.
Something like this, at least.
Mrs. Brown cannot find an English expedition to Peru at all, and she thinks maybe an antique shop owner she knows could help find the explorer via the hat. Because she's like, well, because Paddington says, like, well, the hat was from the explorer.
Was the
like, that's-
explorers, right?
Yeah, and she's like, well, maybe it's, like, made out of something. Maybe there's something
Right.
that could be
Something that could be
memorable
tracked.
about it.
Even if there was like a symbol or like a name or something inside of there, right? I figured a name would have been.
I thought a name would have been in the hat, too.
Yeah.
And that actually contradicts with my thought that, like, he picked the hat up in Peru because don't we find out that it is part of the guild's hat?
Oh, yeah. Because
Doesn't
there's
Jim
a symbol
Broadbent say
inside.
that?
There's
Yeah.
a symbol inside. You're right. So I guess
So I'm wrong about
he
that.
just
So it
likes
is
having
just...
a bright red hat.
Yeah, he just has a bright red
He
hat.
stands out very well. I guess he doesn't want to get shot, you know, because they're all shooting all the animals. So if he's bright
Yeah, that's
red.
right. You have that bright red hat.
But because of this, he changes like the last part of his letter that says, "We're gonna find the explorer tomorrow. Love, Paddington."
Oh, that's right, yes. Because
Yeah.
she said, he's like, well, Mr. Brown not like the fact that we're going to go do this or that
And
I'm
she's
staying
just
here.
like,
And she goes, don't worry about
about
Mr.
it.
Brown. Yeah. We're going to find you a proper home.
I love her.
He also
I
says,
love her.
he also signs off to Lucy with Paddington. He's like, that's my name now. By the way,
Yes!
it's Paddington.
Isn't that funny? Like, I guess how else would he have written it? Like, how do you write that?
Yeah, how do you write that? With onomatopoeia, that's how. Instead of sleeping in the bed, he sleeps in the crevice in the ceiling, because that's how he would have slept.
Yeah, right in the
treehouse.
rafters. Yeah. I also love that he gets this big window like Caesar.
Yes,
They all
that's what
get
it reminded
those.
me of, was the Caesar window, which was the same year or the year after Caesar, I think. Or maybe it's a
Maybe.
couple years after Caesar, actually.
But I
But yeah,
mean,
it was definitely a Caesar window.
all these anthropomorphic animals getting these cool windows and attics. Like, that's...
Hey, I didn't get a window in an attic. Maybe I did. No, not really.
Who are you being?
E.T.
Oh, that's true.
I didn't get a window, Elliot.
Yeah, you'd think they... I mean, they have that massive house. He could have had a cool window.
He, looks through the blinds once or twice, but he definitely did not get a window in an attic.
No. He could get a sunroof, like a sun window.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, all these anthropomorphic animals getting windows and attics. Let's keep track of that. Windows and attics. So far
I'm
we have
curious
Caesar,
now.
we have Paddington. We haven't covered Caesar yet,
No.
but one day. It's on the list, right?
Oh, yeah.
All those?
I would imagine.
All of the Planet of the Apes are
Literally
on the
all
list.
of them. We're going to do a marathon. And then...
We could do a whole season of just Planet of
just
the Apes.
the Planet of the Apes season. We go ape. That season.
Oh yeah, Shelf Life Goes Ape.
That's right.
Volume whatever. I'm not going to put a number to it.
Volume.
Volume Atlanta Falcons. So we go to the museum, and a guy is delivering a package in a room filled with animal pelts.
Yes.
There's a bunch of animal heads on the walls, and Nicole
lots of
Kidman.
taxidermy.
And I was like, Nicole
I
Kidman?
did the same thing. I went, why Nicole Kidman? Why? I'm like, but I guess she could be a villain, I guess.
Is she... Okay, question. Is she doing an American accent? What accent is she doing in this movie? Because she's Australian, but it didn't sound British.
No, I think she's doing British.
Okay.
I think she's doing British. Yeah.
Okay.
Because she says ducks. So if you say ducks,
okay.
I'm going to say that's what it is.
But that's pretty close to an Australian.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so she probably just has to, like, drum it down and soften it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that it's not so, like, g'day, mate. It's like...
Let's put another shrimp on the ball, mate.
I was about to do the whole thing.
I was very surprised. I didn't look at anything about the movie's cast.
Oh, I
before
didn't
watching
either.
It. So
I
was
didn't
like,
either. It was fun.
Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman in Star Wars. So I looked up some stuff after the fact, and they approached Nicole Kidman to be in it, and they thought she was going to say no. And
Did they
she
want her
grew
to
up-
say no?
No, I think they just thought it was a long shot. Like it was one of those
okay.
things. Like, well, we can ask, but I don't think that. The agent was like, I don't want her doing this Paddington movie because why would you think it's going to be good? So she
But
was like,
she's weird and she loves doing crap like this.
I'll ask her if she wants to do it, but I don't think she'll say yes. So then, of course, she was like, hey, I got this thing of a Paddington movie. And Nicole Kidman was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And all right. Whatever she says it.
Just
I don't
goes
know what the
Cockney
hell
for
that was.
one.
So I was trying to do Australian. It came out Cockney. Apologies to both our Cockney and Australian listeners. She said that she grew up reading Paddington. So
See,
she
I
wanted
was
to be in it.
wondering if that was why. She's like, oh, I love Paddington.
She said that her sons were shocked that she was a bad guy. So what you end up learning is that she's a bad guy scientist / taxidermist at the Natural History Museum.
Right. But she's
The
like,
joke here-
but she's like bad. Like she murders animals to take to like
Just
stuff their
murder
bodies.
one of these. Yeah, she takes
does.
like this
and
live
she's like, well,
Peruvian
the
monkey.
museum doesn't know that I'm murdering the animals to take their bodies. Like it's like creepy.
Good joke here though. The animal heads
Oh my
are
God,
in the
this
one
was-
room. She opens a door to a back
got a
room
good
where she's
laugh.
going to kill this monkey, and the backside of all the animals are
We're
just
not
on the
gonna
other side of the
waste
wall.
those. Like, how dare
Yeah.
you waste the rest of the animal? At least now she's got the backside in the back room.
Good joke.
Right?
Good visual gag.
Beautiful.
Good humor. It felt like a Naked Gun joke.
It.
Or a Mel Brooks joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Felt like a Zucker Brothers
I like
Mel
it.
Brooks style. The custom officer mentions seeing something sticky on the deck of the boat and paw prints.
Yes. Marmalade. He found marmalade jars.
It was like a dark helmet.
Marmalade. She does do
Lone
that. She like,
Star,
well, she
Lone
does have like the
Star.
helmet head too with the hair that she's going on. So like
Yeah,
she
'cause
turns around.
She's got that evil
Here's
bob
the thing.
going on.
Here's my problem with it. Every time they would zoom in, it wasn't straight. it looked choppy.
It was uneven?
It looked uneven and
she's
choppy.
Fucking crazy.
And it kind of bugged me every time it would zoom in on it. I just couldn't stop looking at the lines. Like, it just, I'm like, oh boy.
It's not straight. I think it gives her an unhinged look, Rachel.
She does look kind of unhinged, yeah.
She gets upset by saying he lost it at Paddington Station, and then she throws a dagger at a sign, and she apparently has some interest in capturing Paddington because she has a picture of the Explorer with Lucy and Pazuzu.
And a lot of articles around it and stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking say Pazuzu again.
Yeah, okay, I was waiting for you to acknowledge that. In the morning, Mr. Brown is brushing his teeth, thinking something is amiss, and then Paddington hints that he probably shouldn't be using those ear brushes to clean his mouth.
Oh, it's so gross.
That's just a Peruvian bear.
Yeah, because he's just kind of going, why does this taste funny?
He slides down the railing. Jonathan really wants to hang out with the bear.
He wants to slide down
as much
the
as
railing, too.
Yeah.
But his dad goes, no.
Well, they must coddle him after he got hurt. Like, that's the...
Oh, 100%.
That's the impression that you get.
Well, the dad, like, coddles them completely.
There's some funny stuff going on. Paddington gets his face stuck in a dustbuster.
Yes. He must have been the one to spill the stuff that's being cleaned, too, is my guess. Because he's just so klutzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's not used to being in this confined of an area.
He was klutzy in the jungle,
too. In the jungle.
Yes,
yeah,
he was a clumsy bear, all right?
Mm-hmm.
He is a clumsy bear.
He is the Bella Swan of Peruvian speckled bears.
No.
Marmalade bears.
No.
I'm sorry. She
Mm.
was clumsy, Rachel. That was her only trait. Was that she was clumsy. I don't know. Name another clumsy character. That's my example.
I don't know. I wasn't trying to think of any. Luigi. I don't know.
Luigi's clumsy, huh?
Yeah. Wouldn't you call
Luigi
clumsy?
Yeah, he is kind of clumsy.
Like Mario and Luigi? Luigi's the clumsy one.
Yeah, he does fuck stuff up a lot.
Oh god. Then there's this part, right? So the daughter...
Well, okay, so first, there's this swinging camera movement.
Yes.
To get the family coming into breakfast. I liked the way that this camera movement worked. It gave it a little style. It gave it a little flair.
Right.
Okay, this is the part where he licks Judy's face. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes! Why is it foamy?
You've been licked by your dog.
Okay, you're right.
You know how...
Yeah, like their jowls get kind of foamy.
I like how
he's trying to be helpful. It was like very cute, but it was just like, oh, like the look on her face, like...
I need to wash my face, and he's like, oh, I can take care of that.
Yeah,
that's how bears wash themselves.
Right,
so
we lick our
licks
fur
her up and down. Yeah,
and she's just like, oh, that did not help.
Good joke for a little kid.
It was great.
Some Dutch angles as they meet the neighbor.
Yes,
Mr. Curry, or as Rachel calls him,
Peter Capaldi.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So now the Doctor Who universe has coincided with the
Paddington
universe.
Which, you know what? I feel like that one checks out. I think that would happen.
Yeah.
Paddington's a bear. Like, he's an alien bear. That's why he's weird.
This bear. The tortoise took us to this weird talking bear. I'd love a season of Doctor Who with Paddington as his companion. Give me that, BBC.
Yes. No, that sounds fantastic.
I actually would enjoy that.
Even if you do it for, like, some charity event. I want to see
Yeah, give me the Christmas special.
And the Doctor. Let's go.
Yeah.
Christmas special with
Let's
Paddington.
Fucking go.
Oh.
I'm sure that's been done. As Americans, we've done it with Shrek like a million times. Shrek is pretty much the equivalent of Paddington.
Oh,
we've got statues of Shrek in every national park.
Stop. God, no.
I would not put it past us.
But he does clean his ears out in that movie, too, so...
If in my lifetime a statue of Shrek gets put in a national park, I will not be surprised. I won't.
I would. I mean, honestly, if they put him in a swamp, it would be funny. And then I wouldn't be surprised.
Like the Everglades or something.
Just put him in the Everglades. Then I would be like, yeah, that fits.
Okay.
Okay, we didn't mention the band that we keep passing.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Which
there
I
is
kept
a
going.
Peruvian band, a la South Park once again, just around all the time.
Yes. But I kept going because this pigeon thing happened. All I kept thinking was, I want the pigeons to start playing instruments with the band for whatever reason.
You wanted a Dumbo take on
I
this.
wanted it to be a pigeon band playing the Peruvian music.
Rachel, that... Okay,
is that ridiculous?
I'm
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
In this story about a talking bear wearing a trench coat, I will not allow a pigeon to play an instrument. I'm sorry.
I just thought it would be
need to
kind
draw
of
a
fun.
line. Next, you're going to be telling me that Donkey Kong wears that tie because he's going on a business trip.
He just wants to look professional.
He's a king. It gets a little racist here. Doctor Who's a little racist here. Because he says the line, and I quote,
oh no.
When Mr. Brown says that it's only for one night, he says,
Just as well. Don't want to be kept up by any of your loud jungle music.
I don't... Okay.
I understand. They are hinting at racism.
It does
They're
feel
hinting
like
at xenophobia.
Obviously.
That's what they're getting at.
100%. He's xenophobic against bears from the jungle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he must just know the bears
If
from
Maggie
the jungle.
Simpson has taught us anything, Rachel, it's that we should be respectful of the bears.
You're correct. Because the
We've
bears
had bears all over.
they're so helpful.
Yeah.
We have, haven't we? It feels that way.
Well, because everything connects in some weird fucking way.
I don't understand. It's just like the marmalade in 12 Angry Men. That salesman, all he has to do is sell some marmalade.
That salesman,
maybe that's how he made his money.
Do you think that's how he sold
it to the bears? That makes sense now, because that's a lot.
We once
of
had an
marmalade.
American salesman come down here, left us his whole year's supply of marmalade. It was a bad harvest that year.
But he came in.
Hey, I got these talking bears down here. I'm gonna sell all this marmalade.
They love marmalade.
Don't tell anybody about the bears down in Peru.
Oh, no.
They're my best customers. Forgot that he was selling marmalade.
If you ever look in my books, it's under Pazuzu.
I made a deal with the devil. What do you want from me? Judy tells Jonathan not to tell about Paddington to any of the kids at school, because she says we're already weird enough. We don't need to be known as the kids with the bear at school.
That's fine.
This is where the Peruvian band comes back in. And then Henry says, keep up with them. There's pickpockets everywhere.
Yes. Because they're going into the underground.
Yeah, they're going into the underground. He gets stuck in the subway stiles, and you get this little kid joke of, like, his face getting smush.
Right.
So they lose
helps
Paddington.
him. He does kind of look annoyed, but at the same time,
looks
it's
annoyed.
just like, yeah.
But it's rush hour on the underground.
Oh,
so
fair, yeah.
You're not getting the best,
But he's
of those
polite. He
people.
says thank you,
Paddington does, because he's
Yeah.
polite to everybody.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, come on.
Paddington's job is to teach you to be polite no matter what the situation. And it does help.
It does
Folks
help.
at home, if you keep your composure, you can get a lot longer way in this world than if you
Keep your composure
don't.
to an extent, I would say.
Don't be a pushover.
Absolutely
Don't be a pushover,
not.
but
That's
keep
what
your
I'm. That's
composure
what
and
I'm
be polite.
getting at.
Yeah.
Keep your composure to an extent, and then when you have to, get firm, but politely firm.
I didn't understand why he does this. So he's hesitant to get on an escalator, and I get it.
Oh, people don't like escalators either. They're weird. It's moving on its own.
He gets a dog somehow. What does the sign say why he gets the dog?
He
'Cause
looks
just
at
finds
it and
somebody
it says,
with a dog.
It says, like, take exit care with children. Dogs must be carried. So he's thinking, do I have to have a dog?
Oh, so he thinks you need a dog
I
to go
think
down the
that's what it
escalator.
was.
Okay, I got it. All right.
Because
Okay.
I missed it too at first. I was like,
Okay.
why does he all of a sudden have a dog? Where did this
Okay.
chihuahua come
Dogs
from?
must be carried, so he goes to find a dog so he can get down the escalator.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Excellent joke. Thank you,
Yes.
British people, with your humor.
Oh, because then he says another one that says stand on the right. And so he,
Yes, so
he
then
lifts
he
his left
stands
leg.
just on his right
foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
He takes it very literally, like Drax the Destroyer, for instance.
Yes. I love how we're just coming up with all of these things.
He can't get back up the stairs because then Mr. Brown is trying to find him, and so then he tries to get back up the stairs. He trips down the escalator. He falls all the way down.
Yes.
The dog owner comes back to get it. Mrs. Brown is like, why don't we just walk? Now, Rachel, do you think that he was going to leave the briefcase at the top of the escalator?
Why? Why?
What are we looking for? It's a bear. He's going to leave the briefcase at the bottom of the escalator. How great would it be if he had $1 million in the briefcase and he didn't realize it?
Be kind of funny.
That's a story.
He like picks up somebody else's briefcase
Folks
by
at
accident.
home, Paddington 3, he
switches
accidentally, yes, he runs into someone, he gets the wrong briefcase, the briefcase is filled with ransom money.
Instead
and
of
now,
marmalade. And they're like,
and instead of
marmalade?
marmalade, that is the plot of Paddington 3. Give it to me now. It might be the plot of Paddington 2. I haven't watched it. So if it is the plot of Paddington 2, don't let me know.
Bravo.
Because he could be, terribly sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm looking for my marmalade. Yes.
Yeah, he grabs the wrong thing. Yeah. So they go to this shop that looks like it's either from Good Omens, Diagon Alley, or some sort of fever dream.
Good Omens has that same corner shop. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's the same, very similar store.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Or it is from real life. I don't know.
Oh sure.
And I went, hey, it's what's his name from Harry Potter?
Slugworth.
It's Jim
Slughorn.
Yes. Not
Slughorn.
Slugworth. That is a completely different British show that we'll do again. God damn it. We're like a pop culture crazy tonight. Apologies to everyone.
But this was
It's
Slughorn.
because Paddington is so iconic. It's like doing Dune. It's like doing Dune for the Americans, you know?
Yes.
It's Paddington for the British. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's Paddington.
Now I just pictured Paddington
central...
and Dune, and instead of spices, it's
He's
marmalade.
right. He's right. All right, I know I did a Harkonnen reference in an episode earlier, but we need to take over Arrakis to get the marmalade. The bears have taken over all the marmalade.
Giant bears.
Now I just picture Paddington riding a sandworm. Okay, so anyway, Paddington is the central icon of all British.
Yes.
That's why we're doing so many pop culture references.
It's
because
kinda hard
everything
not to.
stems from Paddington.
Obviously.
So Jim Broadbent is playing this antique owner, Mr. Gruber. Dude's got a train that brings tea like Millhouse.
I
was
love
like, what the fuck is this?
This is fantastic.
More World War II imagery in this, by the way.
Yes.
Because he was either a Jewish refugee or just a German refugee.
Absolutely.
Like that is the way that it's being framed.
Because it shows him as a child on the train with the tag, just like he was. He goes, that's what I had to do.
Yeah. He gives the lesson. A home is more than just a roof over your head, because he says, like, how did you get used to this? And he's like, well, I found the home faster, but I didn't feel like it was home.
He didn't
or
bring
he says
his
something
heart
like,
yet.
my body came
here,
first
but
before
my
my
heart took a little longer to come. Like, I was like, oh. There's a lot of sweet things in this.
Yes. He thinks the marmalade sandwich is a splendid idea, because he's like, he like takes the hat off and he's like,
yes, there's a sandwich in this.
Yeah, and he's like, well, my uncle always told me to keep a sandwich in my hat.
I'm also wondering if the guy had something like, his, whoever from his past gave him something like that.
Yeah.
And he kept it, so he's just like, yes, perfect idea. Yeah. I love that.
Right, like
hold on.
Jim Broadbent isn't in this very long. He does a lot with this character. You do feel a lot of, yeah. A pickpocket comes into the store. Paddington sees him look at him and he goes, "Oh, hello," because he looks over at Paddington.
Yes.
And the pickpocket drops the wallet, and Paddington tries to return it.
Thinking
and
it's
then this causes a wacky sequence. I called it the Fantastic Four on the bridge sequence, because I was like, okay, I know where this is going. Paddington's going to become like a celebrity or something. So he ends up on a skateboard and goes through this market square.
Yeah, it's definitely like a market happening, which is cute.
Could have been like a Romani camp. I couldn't tell what was going on here.
No, it's like a market. It's like either a farmer's market or like an antique art market.
Yeah,
something.
I think it's like a farmer's market.
Yeah.
He gets a police cap on his head somehow.
Well, he runs into clothing. He runs into like a thing of clothing. I think it's costumes.
So it's like a costume.
And they all yeah.
And this is where you get your line that you liked, where the pickpocket goes, "It's some sort of police bear."
Which I thought was funny.
Some other officers think that it's an officer in distress, so then they end up chasing him. And then Mary Poppins style, he flies overhead. And again, I'm not the one making all of these references. They're clearly making it look like Paddington is the British icon with all of these different British references. Because he's got the umbrella, he's flying overhead, he's trying to catch the guy to give him back his wallet. what he thinks is his wallet, because the pickpocket dropped the wallet.
Yes.
When he ran out of the door when Paddington caught him. Mm-hmm. Judy sees Paddington flying out the window.
And says Paddington, and then everybody looks out the window.
He falls on the man. Eventually, he ends up taking the man out, and then the police arrest him. And he does it right in front of Judy's school, so the whole school applauds because it's a bear that did some stuff. And
yeah,
you
there's
haven't
a
seen
bear,
that.
and he catches a thief, and the police even go, you caught the thief, right? And then everybody applauds, like, yay, look what you did. And he goes, I was just trying to give him back his wallet.
I think he lost his wallet. He waves to Judy. He's like, oh, hey, Judy.
Night for us.
And she accepts him, as they call him awesome.
She accepts him because, like, I'm assuming that's Tony that's next to her.
Oh, I didn't even put two and two together.
I'm assuming that's right. Tony. And he goes, he's awesome. And she goes, yeah, that's Paddington. Like, I do know him. And it's like, okay, Judy. You're such a teenager.
Fuck you, Judy. I thought the sequence went on a little long, but not crazy. Like, I could see this being way too long in American productions of certain things.
Oh, they would have made it longer.
It wasn't terrible.
Right.
I didn't get bored, but I was getting, like, wrap this up to a certain extent.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I thought it was okay with the pacing on that one.
So after all of this fun, he goes back to the antique shop, and Jim Broadbent is like, this is no ordinary hat, Harry. This is made by the Geographers Guild.
Yes.
And he says if you go there in the morning, they may be able to tell you who it was made for.
I love how it's like, just go talk to them. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're going to just go talk to them. Like, they're going to let you in. That's all I kept thinking.
Each hat is slightly different. Crazy scientist gets into Paddington Station, tranks the guards. She goes through, like, the vents, like
she's like a spy or something.
Yeah. And she looks around to try to find camera footage of seeing where Paddington went. And she does pick up the cabbie that they took home. So she sees the license plate, so she's going to try to find it. Henry is mad that he has to be there another night. And he does this thing where she's like, oh, he's looking away now. Oh, he's doing this breathing thing. So it must be like his, like, no, I'm putting my foot down, Mary. Or whatever the hell her name is Mary. I'm putting my foot down, Mary.
I think it's also like he has panic attacks or something. Like,
well, they
it's hard to say.
They explain it a little later, where Mrs. Bird explains that the dad used to be like the mom,
a bit more free-spirited,
and used to be free-spirited. And then when they had Judy, he became so worried about being a dad that
I called that too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I said I bet it was when he became a dad. He was just like, I have to protect the children.
Yeah.
Like I can't do anything wild anymore.
I was trying to figure out how that could have played back into Paddington too, and I guess it sort of does.
Like
at the
what,
end,
him protecting Paddington?
Yeah, I guess it sort of does.
I think it's more so Paddington bringing out the fun side again in the dad.
Yeah. Okay.
And letting people like actually do like, because he starts doing crazy things again, and then his family like is happy and like enjoying the craziness, and he's realizing like, oh my god, I can't completely keep them wound and enclosed anymore. I can't do that.
We weren't having fun, yeah.
Right.
Judy shows him the paper. He's made it as a hero bear. Judy now, because she can be popular, because she knows Paddington. She seems sincere when she says she's sorry.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
But she says she's sorry that she wasn't nice to him. And he says, I understand. It's not easy being somewhere new. And she gets this. So they must be like at a new school or something. They must have like moved or something like that. I couldn't quite tell.
Potential, maybe.
Because like they hint at that. Because she's like, yeah, I understand or something.
Right.
Mrs. Bird. Oh, this is where
when we actually get to see it. Yes. And he like has long hair and a weird mustache and rides a motorcycle and
yeah. And now he's lost his fun. He's just too safe. I was like, is this the Bedknob and Broomsticks dad or the Mary Poppins dad or Mr. Poppins is what I wrote down.
Oh, potentially.
Because like, isn't that kind of the same arc in those movies where it's like, well, he's more business, like business.
I think he was just always business. I don't think he was ever like fun.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, the mom always tries to bring out the fun, and it just doesn't hit for him.
As opposed to this, where it's like,
it's being
I guess that's kind of
upon him.
Fun was just thrust upon me. I do think it is kind of a British trope of like the dad was fun or is not fun, and
Yes.
the creature has to come into the world to become fun.
Yeah, I feel like that is like a typical thing.
She offers to make Paddington more presentable, and Paddington's like, what does that mean? And then Jonathan and Judy give him a bath.
It was like giving a dog a bath. He hated it.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. It's definitely giving a dog a bath vibes.
He shakes
He's
the hair out at them.
Yes, he's blown dry, and then he looks extremely poofy.
He's all poofy. And like
That's the joke there.
Now, the parents go look because he goes, that's screaming, and she goes, that's laughter. And then they look in, and he actually smiles. He smirks.
The dad does, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is where the turn is quick of the dad being like, okay, fine. Because he realizes that the kids are enjoying having him around, and the mom enjoys
I don't think it's a
having him
full
around.
turn yet. I think it's just like he likes getting to see them having fun.
Well, they do.
So he kind of gives
the
in
coat.
a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just when he gets his coat.
Mrs. Bird comes out and she's like, I think this might fit ya. And Judy's like, that's my coat. And then the dad's like, it's actually my coat.
Because it's like an old coat.
Yeah, he's like, but it fits you. So the dad walks in saying it used to be his coat. And then Paddington's like, well, it fits splendid. And these 2 sandwich compartments are an excellent idea.
So cute. And then mom, of course, says, you look like you're a part of the family.
Right. Yes.
I love it.
Mr. Brown says they'll try the guild as he warms up a bit, seeing his kids happy with Paddington. And Paddington, extremely polite, because he goes, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Again, what's his name? The guy that voiced Paddington, Ben Whishaw. Pretty good job.
Excellent job.
Nicole Kidman finds the cabbie. He won't tell her where they took him, though, love. Cabbie's code.
It's more like
Can't tell where he
guidelines
took 'em.
anyways.
Yeah, he says that, and I was like, you took that from Pirates.
Yes! Yes, you did.
So, because he won't tell her where he took the bear, because he's like, oh yeah, I've heard magicians and the Pope and Hulk in here and all
And a
sorts of stuff that
bear.
you bring, and a bear. She hangs him upside down and tortures him to get it out of him.
Right.
And this is where you get the guide. It's more like
He
guidelines.
goes, it's the cabbie's code. It's more like guideways lines anyways. It's like, that is just a pirate's line.
Well, cabbies do have a lot in common with pirates.
All right,
so
fair.
I could see that, yeah.
That's fine. I'll
Yeah.
allow it.
We learned that he's at Windsor Gardens, which I think is definitely the neighborhood that is from the books, Windsor Gardens.
Oh, sure. I like that they're all pastel-y, too. It's very cute. The
Well,
houses.
that's just British.
I just like
She
it.
Nicole Kidman spots Paddington eating some French bread, and she's doing this via a telephone booth
Of course.
in 2014.
Very British.
Rachel, did you get any like, ooh, foreshadowing of Doctor Who here? Because he comes up and he's like, get out of the telephone booth, love. Could have been a TARDIS.
It could have been a TARDIS, but like a TARDIS is a police box. But, same idea.
You're right.
Same idea.
Why is there a telephone booth in 2014? And
Because
guess
I
this
think
is
they
I
still
guess this is
have
the
them.
anachronistic. Yeah.
But I think they still have them, too.
For like emergencies.
Probably.
All right.
I mean, honestly, why don't they still have the police boxes? That's what they were for, too.
We have blue light specials all over.
Oh,
Not all
similar idea.
But yeah, there's places like parks and stuff have the button
sure.
that you can press.
Yeah. These were more like you could lock somebody in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could lock yourself in
Yeah.
and call. Yeah. Mr. Curry thinks that she's hot. Did not.
It was such an awful, do we really need to have that?
Yeah, did not care for the music cue here. I can't remember what it was, but I did not care for it. It's some sort of pop music, and I did not like it.
It's me you're looking for.
Yep, didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's something some hacky Hollywood thing would do. She says the bear is why she's here, because he's like, we've got bears in this neighborhood. Fucking brown bears. They eat all our marmalade.
Well, because then she even says, well, it starts with 1.
Yes. You're right.
Yes.
It is totally getting at refugee immigration stuff.
Absolutely.
They go to the guild. The vault from one Saturday morning sends the info to the receptionist at the Geographer's Guild here. This was bad CGI. I feel like they could have found a practical way to show this, because all the tubes, it looks like One Saturday Morning graphics.
Oh, it kind of does, doesn't it? They do look a little plasticky.
Yeah.
Instead of like, they could have made them like clear or something. I don't know, because it's like the whole back room with it is really bad. Behind her,
Didn't
it's
look
even
good.
plasticky.
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking was just make it look like it's like at the bank, you know?
Yeah, just bring some bank tubes in. It will be fine.
I don't even know if they still do those, but like...
The fast food places said they were going to start utilizing those, and I was like,
How?
How are you going to do that?
I guess if they put the drink in like one of those space cups or something.
She claims that they never went to Peru. They don't have any records about Peru at all.
She's also just very rude. I don't like
Yes.
this lady.
And they're like, well, can we just go look around? And they're like, no. If everybody came in here with their bear, we would never
He's
be
gonna
able to archive everything.
rummaging around in our archives. And I was like, all right, lady, look.
It's a fair point. Paddington
She
wanders
doesn't
off.
be rude about it.
Well, exactly. That's
Just
that's
not open to
Paddington's
the
whole thing.
public.
Just don't be rude. Just don't be rude.
That's
That's his
right.
lesson. Just don't be rude. Paddington wanders off when they aren't looking, and he wants to get into the archive.
Because he is 100%, yes, there was an explorer. We're going to find something. We have to get up there. And
This-
he
at
makes
this
this
point-
face.
Well, no.
Oh.
Mr. Brown says, "Are you sure that your aunt and uncle didn't make it up? Like, are you sure that there was an explorer?" And this is where he just stares at him with his angry face. Rachel's doing a pretty good job of it right now. But yeah, he just stares at him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Paddington's like, "Do you feel a little flush, Mr. Brown?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, a little embarrassed or something like that. And
Comfortable.
uncomfortable. And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "I'm giving you the hard stare. My aunt taught me that when people are being rude
And I've forgotten their manners.
and have forgotten their manners." Yes.
Like, how dare you insult my aunt and uncle? They would never lie to me.
Yes. So he's doing the hard stare. I thought that was funny. I thought that was very
I loved
British.
it. It was very cute. Because he's like, well, my aunt taught it to me. And I could just see
Yeah.
a kid going...
Yes. Yes, because you could see Lucy doing
You
that
could
to him.
just see a kid just going,
Mhm.
It's the mom stare. You know, we all know that
Yes.
stare.
Yeah. But knock it off.
Yep.
Paddington says if we can find the explorer, he can get a proper home, like Mr. Brown's. Mm-hmm. So I think it's supposed to make Mr. Brown feel kind of bad that he's, like, rejecting Paddington.
Right.
And then we get into the Mrs. Doubtfire section of the
Yes,
movie.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. I said, yep, mm-hmm. I love how we think alike a lot with this one, Kevin.
This is a little silly. So they dress up Mr. Brown
It's
like
very
a female...
British humor, though, too.
Oh, yes, because it's a lady, it's a man wearing a dress, and it's hilarious, because he's a big ugly man, and he's wearing a dress, and somebody thought that he was sexy. They probably want to touch his bum. There.
You just gotta touch his bum.
Yeah.
Does he have a nice bum?
Everybody loves bums. So, Mr. Brown dresses up like a female janitor. They make a rape joke about jail. And then... Yeah, they do. I was just like, this is such a British joke. With this guard thinking that he's hot. I was like, maybe in kids' movies you can get away with it, but it's like, this seemed so British to me.
Yes, it was very silly.
They go to a computer from the 1980s and find 200... It was like this old, like, green screen computer. Like, come on, Geographer's Guild. Again, though, potentially anachronistic, you don't really know what year it is.
Well, I mean...
And
do you
maybe
think
that
this whole...
explains it. There's no... I
Yeah.
don't see a cell phone in this movie. Maybe it
Maybe
is supposed to be
I think it is supposed to be earlier
the
on.
80s.
Right.
I don't
think
know.
it is. I think it's like 90s maybe, but
Yeah.
I think it's like
Well,
it's
we do
early.
know that David Heyman loves things that are set in the 90s with Harry Potter, so...
So then you know what? Bet it's set
Could
in the
be
90s.
taking on the same time. There's a wizard war going on, and meanwhile Paddington's having this misadventure.
I love it.
So the records have been destroyed, but before they can check any of the others, the guard asks for her pass. He finds a pass, and I can't tell what the joke is yet, because I was like, are they going to show us this? But it's like, oh, you've
No.
lost weight.
Yes,
And
like
you
something
lost-
got lasered off, and then
Yeah,
oh,
and you
the
still have
arm
the
grew
arm.
back,
Yeah.
And then he goes, it's prosthetic. And he goes, like, he makes it look like he's moving it funky.
Yeah, which
So
was
it's
fine
not-
acting.
It was great because, like, the guy was even poking it. He goes, yep, I don't feel a thing because it's fake. It's just
Yeah.
really great technology.
Well, then he sticks him, like, with a pin on his
Yes.
arm. Yeah. To put the pass back on him. And he has to fake that he can't feel it.
Right.
This is a little too goofy for me, but that's
It was
okay.
a little silly, yeah.
Yeah. They accidentally send the French bread sandwich up through the tube because they're trying to get all of the stuff. Because Paddington's just asked for everything. So that he can try
and
to
he
find
did
all
get
the files.
something. He found, like, a little video tape.
Yeah.
Like, tape reel.
But because he accidentally sent the French bread sandwich up through the tube, it jammed the system. And then it turns out that he had marmalade on the sandwich, because of course he did.
Well, of
And-
course. What else are you going to put on a French bread sandwich as Paddington?
Does anyone shout in this, marmalade, as it, like, blows the thing up?
So they don't yell marmalade, but they're trying to figure out what was on the sandwich.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So somebody says something's jamming the system, right? I think it's a baguette. Is that peanut butter?
Oh,
and then
okay.
they go, it's too orange. Marmalade.
Okay.
It was a very Lone Star
Good
marmalade.
little sequence. Yes, good little sequence, that is. Papers go crazy. Very Ministry of Magic. They cause chaos, and they get out.
That's true.
And Paddington gets his sandwich, because it, like, bounces into his hand, so he gets the sandwich
That's
back.
right, because all the tubes are flying everywhere now.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Curry invites Nicole Kidman in. I don't think we know what Nicole Kidman's name is yet, at this point. Right?
No, we don't know her name. I don't even think we know her first name.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you learn her name until...
Do we
it's
ever
Millicent.
learn her...
It's Millicent, but I don't know
I
when
don't
we
think we
hear
ever
that.
learned her first name.
Yeah, so it's Millicent Clyde, because isn't the explorer's name Clyde? But I can't remember if we ever learn her name. But apparently, according to IMDb anyway, it's Millicent. So at this point, we find out that she tells Mr. Curry to keep an eye on them and tell her when they're alone. So tell her when they leave the bear alone.
Right.
They fire up the video at the antique shop.
Yes.
And I liked that Mr. Brown was trying to pass it off as heroic, and he like, oh yes, I did all of this stuff, and then and then Paddington's like, he wore
He dressed up as a
dress.
lady and stuck
Yes,
pins
he
in
dressed
him.
up as a lady, and someone pricked him. Yeah.
And the family though was just like, wait, what? You did what?
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy for him like to have done something like that.
But I do like how Paddington like just says it matter of factly, like to
Oh
him.
yeah,
it's
he's like
just
he
this is what we did.
he dressed up as a lady and then got
Yeah.
pins stuck into him.
Yeah. Paddington looks thrilled to see this video of Peru. He sees his aunt and uncle. He tries to smell it and gets enveloped into the picture, and then
Yes.
he steps through it almost and sees his home via senses, including his aunt and uncle. And he sees the video that we saw at the beginning. So this is how they get the name of Montgomery, Clyde being the explorer.
Right. Oh, it was so sad
Touching.
seeing him do that because it was just
Yeah,
like, you
he
know,
misses
he's
his home.
homesick and he misses
Yeah.
his aunt and uncle and but we have the name.
Yes. He sends another note back to Lucy. Begins to understand life in London. They are curious, but he likes them. The organization, the strange objects, the Hoovers for any occasion. He teaches Judy bear, how to
Yes.
speak bear.
Right.
That comes back,
It does come back.
which is nice. And Jonathan can build anything out of the educational toys that he's allowed to play with. So
Right.
it's him and Jonathan. They're like watching the
The stuff they
Connect
built.
stuff.
Yeah.
This is the part in E.T. where we got a lot of them E.T. connecting with the family.
Right.
They gloss over it a little bit in this. I understand the need to make it a montage and to quicken the pace.
Yeah. It doesn't feel
I
too
kind of
quick.
wish there was a little bit more, though. It doesn't. It all comes
Because
back.
it is kind of like
it absolutely
nicely
all
paced,
plays in.
at least.
Yeah.
It's not just like show everything but don't have any words. I like at least that he's describing his experiences
Mm-hmm.
with them, which is really nice. I agree. I do wish we kind of got to experience those with him,
With them. Yeah.
but at least it's not just picture, 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 picture. Okay, done. It's at least him describing it.
Yes. That's fair. He begins to feel at home there, is what he says to Lucy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they let Paddington, one of these days, stay at home while they all go out. Because he's like, well, I'm just going to I have to look through all these books and stuff to try to find an M. Clyde or a Montgomery Clyde or whatever I can find.
Right, exactly.
He's like, I think I got the hang of it. I'm good. I can be here and nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Mr. Curry, though, calls Nicole Kidman to come.
Of course.
And he greets her wearing a tux and some meat,
well, hold on.
paste,
Before
sandwiches,
this,
and pickles. Okay, go ahead.
Before this, when they
I
get
was
on the
disgusted.
phone, of course, that
It's
is
probably
gross.
like a fucking filet mignon over there.
It's very gross. But when he calls her, she picks up like a weasel and takes it to her ear. I just
That's
had to
funny a little
mention
bit.
this.
Yeah, because she accidentally grabs that instead of the phone. I thought it was a funny little bit.
Part of me goes, would it be better or worse if the weasel was actually
the phone? I like that she just picked it up by mistake.
And
it
even goes like, ugh.
I think it felt more Mel Brooksy that she
Okay.
picks it up and it wasn't the phone.
And it wasn't, and she wasn't like just seriously
Yeah.
talking into a ferret or a weasel
Yeah.
or something.
It's a fair question though.
I'm just saying.
I can see it going either way.
Yes.
I'm fine with that joke either way.
Okay. And then he also calls her Honeypot.
Yes, he does.
That's her code name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You thinking Winnie the Pooh? Is that your?
Well, no, I wasn't. I'm just thinking of a honeypot. Isn't that how you like trap somebody with the honeypot? You use a honeypot.
Oh, is it?
Is that just a coding thing? Hold on.
The fuck are you talking about?
Is that not a thing?
I thought a honeypot is like what you call like your sugar mama. She's my honeypot.
Okay. So it's a cybersecurity thing, and this
Folks,
is why,
here we
of
go.
course, now I feel embarrassed because I thought it was just like a known thing. Okay, so a honeypot trap is an intentionally compromised decoy system set up to lure hackers and other cybercriminals into controlled environments to help cybersecurity professionals see how they operate, right? So you're like luring somebody in to trap them. That's what
Okay.
she's doing. She's
okay.
the honeypot. She's
Okay, so
luring. That's why I was like, I thought it was like clever that I'm like, oh, she's called the honeypot. You know, she's being
Gotcha.
all sweet and stuff for this guy to like do stuff, but she's also trying to trap the bear, and she's using.
Okay.
You know, I just thought that was clever.
Yeah. Wonder why that's like a person or thing. Oh yeah, that acts as a decoy.
Oh yeah, here's one for this one, like a sexual nature, and she's being
Yeah.
romantic with him.
Yeah, so
it's an
it's
espionage,
not
too.
it's not just that. It's like it's an espionage
Okay.
term. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
just knew
that's
it for
why.
cybersecurity.
He has the meat paste sandwiches and the pickles, which does sound like something Doctor Who would eat. Probably the
Yeah,
height of British
I
cuisine.
could see that.
She wants to go to the roof.
Fish fingers and custard was the one before him. So.
And mangers and bash and a boot, you know, that's how you have to eat everything. So while she goes to the roof, Paddington he accidentally rips a piece of the phone book.
I wish he would have just left it. Like, those things are easily ripped anyways. They're so thin, you know?
Yeah.
And then,
But he's Paddington,
I
so he's like,
know.
"Oh, I need to
fix
repair
it."
this. I broke something and I must fix it." So he tries to tape up a book that he cut, and some more shenanigans ensue because Mr. Brown has all of these different stationery items all organized because he's a nerd, and he can't get the tape out. So there's a bunch of shenanigans with the tape. This particular room looks like a wallpaper because nothing is moving except for Paddington and like a couple of things in the foreground. It looks like a Teams background.
oh, I didn't
Or
even
Zoom
realize
background.
that. That's interesting.
I don't know if I can't.
I don't think
can't
it
say
is.
for
I think it's
sure.
I think it's the real room, and then they just
It's
put
just
it
because
into it.
the only thing moving is fake. So
Well, the tape is moving.
yeah, but I'm saying but that's why like nothing else in the scenes. That's why
I
it
guess
could be a
lighting
background.
wise, it is a little
Yeah,
awkward.
that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
the lighting is weird because he's not real, so you don't see a shadow.
Sure. They do create shadows in other rooms. Maybe it's just because of the lighting in that room. Anyway,
That's probably why it works. That might be why it works most of the time too, and maybe that's why it stood out to me here because for some reason, because the hardest thing I feel like with any CGI characters now is the light doesn't reflect off of them.
Yeah, they really
because
have to make sure the lighting
That's-
works.
Yeah, and if they don't do that, like in a lot of Marvel movies nowadays, it looks like shit.
It's detail. Attention to detail.
Detailing.
Detailing.
She takes out some equipment and breaks into the house, doing a Mission Impossible style dive.
So maybe, see, it definitely does work with the espionage stuff.
Yeah,
she
that's
is
the whole
trying to do
point.
espionage, honeypot, you know.
Yeah, she sees what the phone number is of the phone I guess this is a thing. People put their numbers of their the phone
on the phone, like
on
their
the
own phone
phone?
numbers
Is that a
on
thing?
the phone. I don't know. I guess maybe they do it for
Thought
the
that was
kids
odd.
too. Maybe they did it a long time ago for the kids to learn the number, and then
Yeah, it feels like something that was on there a long time ago, and
Yeah.
then they just kept it on there. I don't know. It seemed
Right.
odd.
She's
Folks,
also
let
in
us
like
know.
a full snakeskin suit.
Yes.
Weird.
Well, because I guess it's supposed to be more, like you said, like a spy suit. So she's like slithering in or
But it
something.
has to be with animals because she's like
she's
freaking
obsessed with animals.
Cruella de Vil.
She does have a Cruella de Vil-esque vibe, and that's where
Yeah.
it could have also gone, with that a Cruella vibe. She tries to shoot Paddington by calling the phone and then lining him up to be right underneath where she's at so that she can trank him.
Yes.
But she tries to shoot and misses because he's snapped back from all of the tape that he's enveloped himself in. She gets lower and she tries to go to shoot, but he accidentally gets her with the dispenser because he is able to snap the dispenser back and he hits her in the head.
Yep.
She puts a gas mask on now because she accidentally released
She
some
released
gas.
yeah.
It's a poison gas that she was gonna knock him out with.
Right.
He thinks that she's an elephant because she's got the gas mask.
The elephant mask and the snakeskin suit. He's like an elephant snake.
She kicks in the door to the kitchen. She tries to find him using some sort of Rube Goldbergian explosion knocks her out.
Well, because he accidentally turned on the oven, and then this gas is going through, and then she goes to look into the oven, and something makes a spark.
Yes.
It was like something with a mouse trap and the spark, and then boom, she gets blown up.
She escapes before anything can happen, and we see that Paddington was hiding in the fridge, like Indiana Jones,
I think he got
another
trapped
great
in the
explorer.
fridge. Those fridges
How
are
come-
dangerous.
Yeah, we know.
Just saying.
Yeah, folks at home, don't let your kids play in the fridge.
Kids get trapped in fridges. It's very dangerous.
He says it wasn't his fault, and an elephant with the body of a snake was there. He tells them that he wouldn't lie to them. He's like, I'm not lying to you.
I mean,
Why would
honestly,
lie?
he's never lied, so...
Yeah, he hasn't lied to them yet, so I don't know why they think he would start now.
Right.
But Mr. Brown says this is the last straw, that he's put the family in too much danger.
Now,
The rest
this
of the
isn't to his
family-
face either. He says this is
No.
like the last straw in a private conversation with the wife.
Yes. They're like in bed or whatever, and Paddington's back in the attic, but he realizes that he can hear...
He can hear him.
Yeah, through the vents. He can hear them through the vents.
Right.
And she says that he's the best thing to happen to them. But he's like, well, we don't even know if he's telling us the truth about anything. Like, how can we trust him? And she kind of reluctantly says, I don't know. Maybe this isn't the best place for him. I don't know. Because...
She just doesn't know how to answer him now.
Yeah.
Right. And that maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, because he says that this house is not a place for a bear. And she's like, maybe you're right. Maybe we should take him to the authorities. So because Paddington is upset about this, we get the dog leaving the family montage or the sequence to end the act.
Puts on his coat. He puts on his tag and his hat. He leaves them a note and just leaves.
Yes. Paddington even mentions this. It's always raining in this goddamn city.
It's true.
So, of course it's raining.
Of course
London.
it's raining.
As an American, I know it's always raining in London because I always watch Wimbledon, and it's always fucking raining every single day. He walks along Skid Row, and the Peruvian band comes back, but it's doing like a sad song now because he's walking around in the rain. He finds his way to Buckingham Palace, and the guard allows him to stand next to him to get out of the cold.
This was kind of sweet that the guard
Yeah,
was
I
like
thought this
really
was
nice to him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Come on in here, get over here."
Yeah, just stand in here by me. He goes to eat his marmalade sandwich, and the pigeons are there again.
He
So
like
then
shoos them away, and he puts it back in his hat.
And then the guard gives him a big sandwich that he was
He
keeping
had
in his hat.
a whole afternoon tea in his hat. He had a sandwich. He had that whole little tray with all the the cookies and stuff, and then he had a thermos of tea.
Well, you know,
The
you're
man was
standing
packing.
there.
It was great.
Yep, he was packing all right.
This guy was so nice to him.
A little kid joke, but very British.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, their guards are really supposed to be nice. They just have to do their job, right?
Yeah, it's their fucking job. Let them do their...
Right.
The one thing it's one of those things I can't stand about, like, seeing tourists, like, messing with these guys. Like, let them do their fucking job. Like, what
Let
the
them
fuck
do
is wrong
their
with
job.
you?
Why are you being so rude? Yep, I agree. Especially when you're really polite to them, they'll even be like, "Oh yeah, come over here. You can take a picture."
Yeah, they'll
As
do
long
what
as
this
you're
guy
polite.
did, where they won't move, but they'll do, like, the little motion to, like, let you know. Yeah. But don't be a dick.
If you're a dick,
Like,
they're gonna yell at you, which is what they're
Can't-
supposed to do.
Yeah, which is what they're supposed to do. They don't have to be stoic, you
Nope.
fucking morons. One of my favorite things is, like, one of them, like, does, like, a little, like, shimmy to, like, somebody
Yes.
that was being a dick, and, like, they freaked them out. Like,
There
yeah.
was, especially the ones on their horses and stuff. They're like, "Get away from the horse."
Yeah, you cannot be by the horse. Yeah.
Right, because that thing will bite you. Like, they don't want you by that horse.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. That goes for any nationality or anything. Like, just,
Oh, yeah.
just don't be a goddamn idiot. Like, understand
Right.
what you're doing. So anyway, the next guard kicks him out because the next
'Cause
guard
he's
is
like-
not as nice.
Right.
And then he sleeps on a bench like a proper immigrant bum.
Poor guy.
This is where all our bears go. I'm Napoleon, and I've kicked out all the bears from the farm. He can go
would.
sleep by snowball.
He would. That's what would happen. He'd be like, no bears.
Bears are going
He's
to take
too
over
intelligent.
this place.
He's too intelligent.
yeah.
He wouldn't let him be there.
That's true. So I'm saying he could lead the revolution.
He would have.
The Browns find a note that Paddington left. He calls them a lovely family and that he's sorry, and that now that he's gone, things should calm down a bit. So it's very sad.
It's so sad.
Judy asks if they should go after him, and Henry says, well, he doesn't really belong here. And then the kids run off mad, and the mom says she just needs to know if he's okay. So she's even like, I'm not going to bring him back, but I need to know that he's okay.
Right.
And then Mrs. Bird talks to Henry, and she says that they needed that bear as much as he needed
It's like,
you.
are you that thick? I think is like how she almost puts it. Or does she
Yeah.
actually say, are you thick? Like,
I don't know if she says, are you thick, but, like, that's the idea.
honestly,
yeah.
she should have. She should have.
Well, she should have. And she walks off. Paddington then begins the search for M. Clyde. And we get a sequence where you see all the M. Clydes in, like, the skyline of London, and he's, like, crossing them off as he finds that they're not there. She goes to the cops to help find him, and she says, like, well, he's about, 3 feet tall, and he's got a blue coat, and this
With a
and
red
that. And then
hat.
she goes,
Oh, he's a bear.
Bear.
And this is
And
where
then-
the guy goes like, oh, that's not gonna help. Like,
Yeah, no, he says that's not much to go on.
Yes!
That was pretty good. I liked that joke.
I loved that.
The family misses him as he continues to search. So we get another montage here
Yes.
where the family is all missing him, doing the stuff that they liked doing with him. So the boy is sitting alone, and the girl isn't able to learn the bear stuff with him, and all this
Right.
kind of stuff. He gets to the end of his list, and the guy tells him to bugger off. I think he tells him to clear off, which is, I think, like telling somebody to go fuck themselves in England.
I honestly, yeah, I think so. It's just like a more fun way to say it.
I like bugger off.
I love bugger.
If I could tell somebody to bugger off, that would make my day.
Yes.
Now bugger off! Paddington loses the list in the wind then, but
But I mean,
he made
he's
it to
done
the end.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. But he hears the explorer's words, where the explorer in the video, where Montgomery Clyde in the video says, like, if you ever come to England, you'll be welcome with open arms. Like, you'll always find a
You'll
place
always
here
be
in London.
welcome. It'll be
Yeah.
a warm welcome.
Thinking, like, he was totally wrong about that. But then he realizes that he accidentally had the wrong address.
Yep.
Because one of
he
the
sees
numbers...
the 36 across the lane,
Yeah.
and the one by him, the 9,
Yes.
fell down and
Fell
looks like
upside
a
down.
6. Yeah.
So he goes across the street and he rings another doorbell. When he explains himself, he says, well, why don't you come in out of the cold? And he enters. And of course, dun dun dun, I mean, you could figure this out. You could see this coming
of
for
course.
a while.
Well, yeah, because she revealed it, like, at the beginning, pretty much, when she hit it with,
Well, you don't know what
the
you don't know
knife.
exactly what the relationship's going to be, but then you find out that, of course, it's Nicole Kidman.
and it's her
Who
dad.
is playing Millicent Clyde. So her father was Montgomery Clyde, the explorer, and he's dead.
Right.
She asks Paddington what did he want from her dad, and he says that he hoped for a home.
Right. To belong somewhere is very special.
Yeah, so she's like, well, I'll give you a home. Don't worry about it. She takes him into this van. I liked how it went from saying taxi
Yes.
to taxidermist.
That was perfect.
That was good. That was pretty good. And then Mr. Curry comes back and gives her some dead posies. I like this. I don't know why I liked this, but I like this turn from Doctor Who here, where he realizes that the bear's in the van, and he says, I thought you were just going to send them back to Peru.
And he sees what it says.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, fuck off. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm doing what I want to do.
It doesn't matter. This is what
she literally
this
tells him
was
to, like,
my
piss
plan.
off. Yeah.
Right.
She growls at him. So he calls it barbaric. He tries to stop her, but he can't. And then he tries to give an anonymous phone call to the Browns.
I love this anonymous phone call. Was great.
Yeah.
This was great.
So I put it, it takes Mr. Curry to help. And I was wondering with this allegory to Jewish refugees during World War II, or refugees now, or immigrants now, or whatever.
Right.
What we talked about in Animal Farm, I think.
I think we even did, yeah.
Of that whole idea of like, okay, they come for someone, they come for another. I don't want them here, but like I want you to still act humane, and then the person that you're working with doesn't act humane, and it's like, oh shit, I've worked with evil.
Yes.
You know?
It's like I didn't open my mouth. I realize now what I was doing is wrong.
Yeah, like too late now to like realize that you're
too little,
with
too
evil.
late, right?
Yeah, the ends justify the means. Don't be working with evil. Don't think just because of your own like biases that this person's going to have the best intentions for something that you disagree with. They're not. They're going to be having the intentions that they want.
Right.
So it's Mr. Curry doing. The Henry goes because they're like, "Who is it, dear?" And
It's an anonymous
Henry
phone
goes,
call, and he goes, "Oh, hi, Mr. Curry." Like, no,
Yeah,
it's Burry.
Yeah, and then Henry goes, "It's Mr. Curry doing a silly voice because
I
he's
love
trying
that.
to do this voice."
Yes.
So the family gets in the car to try to find Paddington because Mr. Curry knows that like this is the museum curator and or taxidermist or whatever
So
the
he
hell
tells
her
him
job
where it
is.
Right.
Yeah, I never really could tell like what the hell is she supposed to
I
be.
think she just taxidermies the animals for the museum.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I think you're probably right about that. I couldn't tell though
Maybe
if
she
was
does
supposed to
other
be, like, the
science
curator.
research with it or something. I don't think
Yeah.
she's the curator. No, I think she works for the curator.
Okay. No, I think you're right. I think that's probably
Yeah.
right because she does the brings in the Peruvian monkey to kill it.
Yes.
Without them knowing that she was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They fly through the streets of London, and we end up at the museum. I like the ominous music they give for the museum because they're like, it's a museum. It's like it's a library in Parks and Rec. It's like this like evil thing. It's a cathedral of knowledge. Every explorer has added to it, and I like as she goes through and she's like Magellan's penguins, and this person added this,
The
and this
Galapagos
person added that.
tortoises. Yeah.
Yeah. He takes his hat off to each one of the
hello
animals.
to
And he's
each
like,
one.
"Oh, hello," and then he says "good day" to the kangaroos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he goes like, "Gentlemen," to when he goes by the penguins.
Oh, yes,
that one was
yes.
cute.
Because they're wearing tuxedos.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
She says that the problem is that my dad wouldn't collect a specimen of his species, and we get the flashback and we find out what happened. And when Clyde came back to the Geographers Guild, he told them that he would not capture one of these species. He wouldn't allow it. They are intelligent, and he refuses to bring one of them back here because they're just going to stuff them, or they're just going to put them on display in a zoo or something, and they should not be that. They should be free.
Right. And
more commentary.
Oh, absolutely. Because even like the rest of the guild is just like, they're intelligent. Do they do this? Like, do they
speak English? They don't drink tea.
They don't drink tea or play cricket. Yeah, well, they're not like you. That doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
It's not subtle, but it's a nice way to be able to do that lesson for kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then they blackball him.
They strike the rights to the records because he refuses to do anything, and they blackball him. Yeah, they totally blackball him.
Yep.
It's a very, very British thing to do.
Well, they turn their backs. Like,
they literally turn their backs on him. Yes, they literally turn their backs on him. I was wondering if they literally did that, or if that's just how she's telling the story and Paddington's envisioning it, and she envisions it. And that's how she remembers it as a kid.
Oh, potentially, yeah. I like the idea that they actually just turned their backs on him.
She sees it as he threw everything away. He put the happiness of a few furry creatures over his own flesh and blood. So she resents the dad for not just killing Lucien Pastuzzo, and instead they end up on a petting zoo.
A petting zoo. Mm-hmm.
Which he still was trying to take care of the animals, but like he was blackballed from being this
able to do any like exploring anymore, which is what he loved. You're thinking.
It was hard to figure out her motivation for me.
She wanted money and fame through her father.
So she's just like, okay, Dad couldn't get this done. He turned his back on me. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna shove it in the Geographer's Guild face.
I think so. I think it's like, you're not like man enough to do it. I'm gonna do it, type of thing almost. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna get the glory, and I will be in the guild. I think is also what she's thinking.
Okay.
She's just like a serial killer. We find out later what she says. I'm like, you're a serial killer if you're thinking that now. I mean, like, you're murdering animals.
And just murder one of these other dogs.
And then she's like, I'll murder a person. It's like, okay.
Well, that's why she's very, very cartoony. She's extremely cartoony, Nicole Kidman in this. And that's where I think a couple of the ideas that we were coming up with different villains that could be in these movies. I don't think she's the strongest villain. Because you don't find this out until now, like with only like 15 minutes left of the movie or whatever. So it's like
the actual motivation.
It feels a little half baked. Not like half baked, like it's fully there. It just feels a little less than. It feels like tacked on. Like, oh yeah, we need a villain. Like that. That's almost how it felt. It does feel like
they forced a villain when it was like, do we need a villain, or like, could we have a different kind of villain?
Yeah. Because, like, it feels like it almost also cheapens...
This was like an over-the-top villain.
It cheapens her dad's legacy a bit, too, to do this to her.
Yes.
Which I get. Like, this is how people really act, so you can have that. They don't all have to be nice going down the ages. But it lost that connection for Paddington with his aunt and uncle to the explorer a bit. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I'm conveying that correctly, but there's something about it.
I think I see what you're saying, because you're just like, he thought, oh, his family's going to be wonderful just like he was, and then he finds out that she's evil. Yeah. And it just kind of like, it puts a dark mark on his memories of the explorer himself, because of like what he was supposed to be doing, and... Yeah.
And he did, he was supposed to be doing something right, and then he didn't for the right reasons, and then she's doing the wrong thing, and then for Paddington, it's like, oh, the world sucks. Like, maybe...
it almost feels like the world kind of turned into suckage instead of being nice like he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, or polite. He freaks out and tries to run because she reveals that she's going to stuff him and put him on display at the museum. Yes. How the hell is she going to get away with... Let's say she doesn't. She's not the curator. How the hell is she going to get away with saying, like, oh, yes, I caught this marmalade bear. He used to talk, but I stuffed him.
That's a good point.
Like, isn't he more valuable alive? And, like, captured?
I would think so. I would think so. Nobody seems to care that he's a bear and he can talk, so...
That's true. It's not that big of a deal. It's like Ted.
I've never watched Ted, but I know what you're talking about. Yes, with the big bear stuffed animal.
He freaks out and tries to run. She tranks him, and he collapses down the stairs. And he snores so that the kids in the audience don't think he's dead.
That's true. I didn't think about that. He got shot in the butt. His butt's up in the air, and he's just snoring. He's sleeping.
Yeah, he's sleeping. It's okay. He's asleep, folks.
He's fine. He didn't get hurt falling down the stairs.
Fine. He's fine.
He's a bear.
They are trying to figure out how they can get in because I guess there's goo all over the outside of the museum, and they need to find another way in, and they don't have the Statue of Liberty. So Judy says we'll go in the sewers. So it's calling back to Yes. She didn't want to go in the sewers, and she's like,
well, the mom said it's like a labyrinth, and it goes everywhere in the city, right? And so Judy's just like, you said it goes everywhere. Like, can we get through into the museum?
Yep. So we get this Sherlockian run through the sewers as Sweeney Todd Explorer tries to set up stuff. That's what I wrote in my notes about his sequence.
All right.
I'm just trying to tie every English thing I know back together.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Lovely.
I am Shelf Life Kevin. Mrs. Bird distracts a guard via Indiana Jones drink off with the guard.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently a lot of authority in London are kind, because every single person that they've run into, except for the Geographer's Guild, has been like, oh, hey there, love. Oh, you could come in out of the cold. Come sit down and have a pint.
Right.
Like, that's how every single fucking person
She did have to talk him into drinking by, like, calling him like, oh, you're not going to be able to hold your liquor, right? And then he's like, well, now it's a challenge and I have to.
Well, but she let him in. He let her
Oh, yeah,
in.
but I think that's just like the politeness, and she's an old lady, and...
Yeah, you can't be, you gotta let an old bird in here.
Oh, bird.
Yep, I'm assuming that's why she's named
Probably.
They blow a hole through a wall using the chemistry set that Jonathan has. It's all set up. If you're not paying attention, it could be easily overlooked. But everything in the movie is set up and paid off.
Right.
They turn the power off, and Nicole Kidman goes to turn it back on.
Well, she tries to call the guard first, and then she's like,
yeah,
great,
she
now
tries to
I
call
have
the guard.
to do
The guard's
this.
not there, so then she has to go do it. I don't know why she's keeping Paddington alive at this point. Like,
well, she's also
gas
kept
him.
the monkey alive. Because we see
the
monkey.
monkey's alive too?
The monkey is alive in a cage.
Did not see the monkey. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like,
she
thought
has a
you were
ritual.
gonna kill
She's
the
like
monkey.
Dexter, like you said about the serial killerness.
She does. She's like
Yeah.
a serial killer. I'm sorry. This woman is a serial killer. She might be like freaking Jack the Ripper of the 1990s, all right?
She's just Jack the Ripper of animals.
Once again, when we get to the rooftop, she says she has never stuffed a human, and she like looked like she wanted to. She's a serial killer.
That's fine. That's fair.
She's just escalating. All right, escalating.
She's escalating. Henry does this hero spin into a kiss thing, saying that somebody has to go on the ledge to get into the other room to save Paddington.
Of course.
And that someone is me. So he gets this, like, hero moment.
Yes.
Again, no disrespect to Hugh Bonneville, but this is where you could see Colin Firth doing this too,
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure. He's kind of like Colin Firth, like his brother, you know? It's like having
Yeah,
Colin
he's got that.
Firth,
He's
but
got
not
that look.
quite.
No, I mean, this guy's very
Yes.
good in this role.
Oh, he's
I mean,
fantastic.
he absolutely is.
But this is where I was like, yes, of course he's your hero.
Yeah,
of
she realizes
course he's
that
your hero.
Yes, the picture is of her schlubby husband.
Yes.
He goes on the ledge in the snow, because now it's snowing.
And then he goes, I regret this.
I regret everything! And they say he's cool, so he keeps going. Because he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna
my
come
family
back
loves
in.
me
And
now.
then Jonathan and Judy are like, go, Dad!
This is
you're
awesome! Go,
And
job,
he's like,
Dad!
oh, fucking great. So he drakes his way over the ledge. And I was like, I'd be dead on step 2. I would have made 2 steps and fallen off and been dead.
Yeah, it would be slippery.
Some pigeons make him do the gargoyle hang a la Batman. And then he makes his way into the room that Paddington's in.
I mean, also, it was just raining, and now it's snowing.
Oh, it's like ice then,
So
yeah.
everything has to be just ice, right?
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah, it's iced over. I don't know how he was able to make it in there.
I have
That's the
no
most unbelievable
idea.
thing of the entire movie.
It
And
truly
this movie
is.
contains a bear that keeps marmalade in his hat.
That's normal. I don't understand why you're questioning that.
Paddington starts to wake up and thinks that he sees God, which I thought was music.
God?
Yeah, that's a good joke. Paddington
It
just
was
be
a
like,
good one.
God?
Up here. Oh,
Is that you, God?
What?
It's just, you sound a lot more like Mr. Brown than I imagined.
It is Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown?
is that you, God? What? You all sound an awful lot like Mr.
Sounded like Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown. I am Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown apologizes for not believing him. Kidman locks the building down, realizing that sabotage is afoot.
Yes.
And I put that we get a nice little Indiana Jones moment, but I don't remember what that means. Okay.
So all of the things start coming down.
Yeah.
Like the windows and the doors. Like
And
all
then-
these like barricades. He
lost
slides
you.
through the door, and as it's closing, he has to grab his hat. It gets stuck for a second, and then it
That's right.
slides through. It's beautiful.
Yep, yeah. So Indiana Jones moment. Yeah. Yes. And then there's some commentary about British colonialism as well, even if it was unintended, throughout this whole thing about like capturing the animals and stuff as he goes through the museum. He uses some dustbusters to climb the wall as Mission Impossible music plays. I don't think it
Those are the best. Those are the best sucking vacuums, like hand vacuums, that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, those things can't pick up fucking popcorn,
You're a
much less
bear.
cling you to.
All right, just climb with your claws. Why are you using vacuums?
Just climb with your claws. But they wanted to bring that back into it.
I know, of course they did, which is great. I love that they want to have all these callbacks. It's beautiful. I love a good callback.
But it's
ridiculous, and you're a bear, and you're even scratching this thing, which makes me think you could have poked through and climbed. I did love that, though. Did you notice it? As he's climbing, his back paws are scratching the metal. You could see the scratches.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Little touch made me happy.
Mm-hmm. It does. When he gets to the top, is there another talking bear that says "Long live the king" and then tosses him back into the pit?
It almost feels like there would be.
So he ends up going to the roof. He's talking in bear, and because he's nervous. So
I think because he's nervous.
Talking. Yeah,
he's just growling and grunting. Yeah.
She tries to burn him out because now she's turned on the furnace or whatever the hell he's like stuck in chimney or something. And he keeps climbing. I think this would be a bad idea, though, Nicole Kidman, because if he falls, you don't have your specimen.
That's it. Say goodbye to his fur. Say goodbye to everything.
Yeah, so he's
That's
just
not going to work.
This helps your theory that she's like a stupid sociopath, because it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I swear, she's nuts.
He's talking in bear. Judy interprets it for the family
because they can hear it through the pipes.
She talks back to him, or
she
asks
does
him where's it going?
And he says, "I'm going to the roof" or something in bear.
The battery dies on one before he gets there, and then the other begins to fail. So he jumps for the ledge, and he misses, and he falls to his death.
Yes,
and that's the end of Paddington.
So sad. He's gone. They just burn him alive.
He's dead, children.
It's the end. No.
So
the
anyway,
kids grab his feet.
They grab him,
and he's able to keep his hat.
And then they all reunite and they hug.
Yes.
But before they can leave, Nicole Kidman comes up with her trank gun. Is like hand
her
high
over. Heels.
Yeah, how did she get on the roof?
I don't know. I guess like the fire escape. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess you're right. She climbed the stairs because she knew where he was going. So she was like, "I'm going to get up there to retrieve him or something." Mm-hmm. Mrs. Brown says they won't hand him over because he's family. Nicole Kidman's like, they're not.
You're not
family.
even the same species.
Yeah, and we get our lesson from Mr. Brown, who says that it's true. We're not the same species. We're not the same anything. We're not blood related, but we are family.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if he's from the other side of the world or a different species. We love him, and that makes him family.
And he has a worrying marmalade habit.
Does he say that?
Yes.
I don't.
Did you not catch that?
No.
Oh my god! He goes here. I'm gonna say it. It doesn't matter that he comes from the other side of the world, or that he's a different species, or that he has a worrying marmalade habit. We love Paddington.
All right, that's a good line.
It was a great line.
At the end of the speech, he says, "Take us all," and she's like,
"Yes."
All right.
Okay then. I've never taxidermied a human. You nutcase.
What's she gonna do with that human taxidermy?
Well, I was like, okay, are you gonna turn them into like Neanderthals? Are you gonna have them like?
This is some Norman Bates shit.
She's freaking out. I don't like her.
He was a taxidermist too, Rachel.
I know he was a taxidermist. That's where she learned it. But that's not but she is like nutcase taxidermist. Oh, wait. You're saying, hold on. Norman Bates. Yes, he was also a taxidermist, and that's what he did with his mother.
That's right.
I was saying that her father is also a taxidermist, and that's where she learned it.
Well, I thought you
Not from Norman Bates.
I thought you were putting together a world where she watched Psycho too many times. That's the only video. That's the only VHS that we had on the petting zoo.
Anyways.
It's been a long night.
It has.
So Paddington comes forward and he's like, "No, you can't take them. You can just take me." And he sees out of the corner of his eye because he goes to sacrifice himself before he comes up with the plan.
Absolutely.
But as he does this, he comes forward and he sees a pigeon, and he comes up with an idea. He's got a hell of an idea. And the idea is, can I finally eat this sandwich that I've had since Peru? The marmalade's got to be kind of gross at this point.
I would imagine.
No preservatives in that.
But it is his last one from his aunt.
Yeah, so. It's his last one. And she says, "Fine," which is fair. I mean, that makes sense. And then he throws the sandwich at her, and the pigeons attack her, and they give Nicole Kidman a Batman villain death.
Oof.
Like, this was straight out of, like,
was
Two-Face or
great.
Joker falling off a cliff.
Oh, yeah. Well, she almost falls. But then Mrs. Bird comes and smacks her with the door.
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right.
then
They subvert
she
your
falls.
expectations. Yes, they subvert your expectations in a nice way. Yeah,
It was great.
She goes only to the end of the ledge, and then
she goes
Mrs.
to shoot
Bird,
him again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mrs. Bird then just pops up, and then she falls off and
Yes.
dies like the Joker.
Well,
How great would it have been if they just go to the ground and she's just laughing weird?
she has the Joker smile on her
Yeah.
face. She's
They
nuts.
can't-
I would believe it.
They can't kill her, though, because this is Paddington, and we're not going to kill people.
I mean, it's almost like Beauty and the Beast, where Gaston gets thrown off the tower and he
Gaston
does
dies.
die.
Yes.
Yes.
Disney back in their golden age was not afraid to kill a motherfucker. They were gonna kill
Beautiful. I
people.
loved it. He had freaking skull and crossbones in his eyes.
So, folks, I want to know. Don't tell me, but I want to know if this character comes back, because it's like, why not kill her? Like, why bring her back in
It's
unless
too
she's gonna come back.
dark. It's too dark. We
It's
can
too
kill
dark.
a bear, but we can't kill the villain.
Well, they didn't show you the bear.
That's
dead, though,
also
either.
true. You're right.
So she's hanging on a ledge. They all hug. The next scene is Mr. Brown coming home from, like, time has passed. They're all in the kitchen, and Paddington is cooking them marmalade. He's showing them how to make
Yes!
marmalade.
I love it. I do
$50,000
also love...
worth of marmalade.
That's probably true. It's definitely $50,000 worth of marmalade. But I also love that the tree grows in the...
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like she painted more. She added
for,
on.
For Paddington, yeah. She's like added on, yeah.
It's like a really lovely way of showing like they grew.
Yes, the family has grown, yeah.
Yes.
Every home should have a bear, I guess is what Mr. Brown says now, or what they say now. Like, yeah, we think every home should have a bear. The letters get to Aunt Lucy, we see in the
Who
retirement
is
home.
actually in a retirement home. I'm so happy that I was wrong.
I do kind of wish that, well, and maybe this happens in the sequels, that he gets to see her again.
It would be kind of nice for them to get, like, she actually gets to come to London one last
I did
time.
look up something, and I guess Paddington 3 is going to be called Paddington in Peru, so maybe he does
Oh.
go back.
Oh.
Millicent, Nicole Kidman, gets community service, and she's like, no, anything,
Because it's worse
anything
than
but
anything
that.
else.
And it's
'cause
working
she's
on a petting zoo.
Yep.
Which, like, I don't know. Like, that's where I was, like, conflicted again. Because I was like, I get that she, like, thinks that that's, like, the worst thing ever. But, like, she didn't learn any, like, it feels like she, like...
I don't think
don't
she's supposed to learn
see-
anything. She's
I-
not getting any redemption.
I don't see, though, her dad being, like, a bitter, like, drunk on this petting zoo.
I don't
It
think he
feels like
was.
he would have been, like, trying to teach her, like, why he did what he did. And, like, we have to
Right.
take care of all living things. Like, that's how
Yeah.
he seemed...
But
Now-
I think it was one of those things that she just held a grudge against her.
Yeah, because, like, he was going to shoot that bear. 'Cause
Yes,
he
he
was a
was going to
British
shoot the bear.
explorer.
He learned something, and then she's just holding a grudge against him, period.
Yeah.
She would never let up against it. She was probably a jerk when she was a kid. She was probably killing animals as a kid, considering they were a bunch of taxidermists.
Oh, God. We get the dollhouse
She's a
again.
serial killer.
She's a serial killer. Yeah.
Oh, did you see-
She's
did you
history's
see-
greatest monster.
The monkey comes back, too.
Yeah, where does the monkey come back in?
The
though? I
monkey
can't
hits
remember.
the button so that the manure
Oh,
drops on
yes.
her.
Yes, manure, of course.
I hate manure.
Always a good joke. Yes.
Yes.
Little kids love farts and poop.
Well, it's Back to the Future-esque.
It is Back to the Future-esque, so
I
you're
hate
right.
manure.
I can't be that mad when it is in that movie. And then we get the dollhouse again.
Yes.
Mrs. Bird's knees work better because she always is complaining about her knees every time it rains in London, which is all every day, I'm pretty sure. Judy and her mom get together. She even lets him meet Tony.
Yes.
Or
And
her
she
meet Tony.
calls her Judy instead
calls
of
her
like
Judy.
Sweetie Pie and like all
Yeah.
those like little terms.
She acknowledges
in
that
German.
she's a growing teenager.
Yes.
Judy tells Tony, "Don't worry, like my mom's weird, but we all are."
Yes.
So like she's learned her lesson.
She's
too, like, to
acknowledging
accept-
it.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
Mom even lets the door shut. Pretty trusting. Mom,
Yeah, I
though,
think she
man.
was she would have. Yeah, she seemed okay with all of it.
She's the type of mom that would have brought in the.
No, I don't. I wouldn't go that far.
The dad now
maybe to make sure that they're being safe. Maybe she would be. You're right. I think she would be. The dad wouldn't, though.
No, but there's definitely a scene where she tries to have the talk with Judy, and Paddington's there, and he's like horrified.
I'm just gonna give you these. Like, don't tell your dad.
Mom!
Don't tell your dad.
Yep, and then there can be a scene where Paddington doesn't know what it is.
And he's like using it as a
like
balloon.
Yes!
Yeah. Like a balloon toy.
That's the R-rated version of Paddington that we all want. He's still polite. He still has manners.
And
but he's
very
playing
naive.
with a prophylactic.
That's right. Ridiculous.
The dad is now helping John with his experiments, although John worries about his dad's safety because he's reckless, or he's more reckless now.
Well, he's using nitroglycerin in a rocket indoors. All right, I understand.
He's an insurance man, and he's trying to make an insurance fraud. Yeah,
it's fraud.
Yeah, he's already got to redo the whole bathroom after
That's true.
It's been flooded. Paddington, in his letter to Lucy, tells her that everyone is different here in London, but that means that everyone can fit in. And then he feels at home, and he won't be like the others, but that's all right, because he's not like the others. He's a bear. A bear called Paddington, which was what the name of the book was, the first book.
Yeah.
And then they have a snowball fight with, like, the whole family has a snowball fight outside as the Peruvian band plays us out.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is we get to the end credits. There's a custom song here at the end for the American version. It is Shine by Pharrell and Gwen Stefani. I don't like custom songs at the end of a lot of these kids' movies. Kids' movies are notorious for, like, bring in a couple of pop stars and have them write a shitty song.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I was like, I could tell it was Gwen Stefani, and then, like, Pharrell, I heard Pharrell, and I was like, oh god, were they, like, plugging this on The Voice or something? And I'm sure they were. It's such a kids movie thing to do that. I don't know why, but then, like, James Cameron did it in, like, Avatar and shit, and, like, except he did it with The Weeknd, like, yeah, he did it with The Weeknd.
See, I don't
think
really know.
Avengers has Soundgarden at the end.
Yeah,
they do this every once in a while.
Sometimes you just want, like, a custom song, though, that, like, fits. So then you have to find an artist that's going to do it, and, like, that would fit with the sound. But, like, most of the time they don't find one that fits with the sound, which is the problem.
Yeah. Well, you didn't notice it, so, like, it must have been fine.
Well, I mean, that was the credits. I only saw the Peruvian band, and then I didn't do the credits.
Yeeted out of there.
Yeah, pretty much.
I stayed through the credits. I'll have to re-listen to it to see if I think it fit the tone.
Yeah, because I'd have to hear it.
Yeah. But that is the end of Paddington from 2014. So, Rachel, we have now gone through it. We have dissected every moment of Paddington. So it is time for that part of the show where I will kick it over to you.
Okay.
Does Paddington have shelf life?
I don't know what to say. I hate you. You're so mean to me.
Do you want me to go first?
Maybe, because I'm just yes, because I think I've gone first on literally everything in volume 4, so yes.
Okay, I will go first. I thought about this while I was in the shower today. I was trying to piece my thoughts together. So it is cute. It is a very cute movie, and it is probably better than it has any right to be as a kids movie. From 2014. Heads and shoulders better than a typical crappy kids movie with a product or an IP, and we're just shoving it in here so that we can be a cash grab or anything like that. It is a very good movie. I would recommend it highly for people with families, people with kids. I think it's a very, very good movie. I truly do. I want everyone to understand that before I continue. Okay? I liked it. I did. This is shelf life. And the question is not, is it good? It's, would you have it on your shelf? Are you going to revisit this? Is this something to keep with you forever? Mm-hmm. Here's where I stand with that. I did like it. I'm not going to revisit it at this point in my life.
Yeah.
There is no reason for me to.
Very similarly on this one.
I don't like to use that damned box. And in reality, I know I put Major League in the box, and in reality, it probably shouldn't have been in the box. I think we covered it, because you kind of talked me off of it for that. I only really want to use the box once in a volume. And I feel like this is a strong contender for that. For one reason and one reason only. I'm not going to put this on my shelf because I'm not going to revisit it. I don't know, though, if in circumstances change with kids or nephews and nieces or whatever,
right,
friends' kids or whatever, then it's good to have around. Because I would highly recommend to anyone out there with kids, they should be watching this and not Sing or The Nut Job or whatever fucking shit is out there.
The Nut Job does not sound like an appropriate movie for kids if that literally has a title
I think that's a movie, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm afraid to look it up.
Shrek 8 or whatever bullshit inane crap is just out there, okay? This is way better than any of that. But for me, personally, on my shelf... Okay, now Rachel's seeing that there is a movie called The Nut Job.
It's with squirrels.
Yeah.
I do like
I don't know,
squirrels.
I was trying to find other movies kids movies from 2014. And like the Lego movie also came out in 2014, and that one's fine too.
That one's alright.
I thought about this. In my current environment, as I stand to you today, I am not going to put it on my shelf. But if you are nostalgic for it, if you're someone that grew up with this movie, if you're someone that grew up with Paddington, if you're someone with kids, if you're someone with little nieces or nephews, if you're someone that has any reason to have this movie, wait for it to be on sale, put it in your box, and keep it there for a rainy day. Consequently, you can also just find where it's streaming, because I think that this is one that's always streaming.
That's still kind of a shelf in a sense, you know.
In a sense, but I'm saying I'm not going to go out,
like floating shelf, right?
I'm not going to go out and get my own copy of this. As much as I liked it and as cute as I thought it was, and as good mannered and as good spirited as I thought it was. So it pains me to say it, but that is the question.
Yes.
And the answer for me is it is not on the shelf. Mm-hmm. It has shelf life in a sense, but it's not on my shelf.
Yeah.
At most, it's in the box, just to have if you need it. Go ahead.
So I'm a little upset that I let you go first, but you're probably more eloquent about it, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, so this is what I'm going to say.
Here's the difference, because E.T. I passed on the shelf with flying colors, and I convinced you to put it on the shelf. But the difference is E.T. has nostalgia for me. So I can go back and revisit. I think it's better as well. But it has nostalgia for me. I think it's a better movie, and for me, it hits a different spot. I don't have nostalgia for Paddington, particularly this movie. I do think it's thin on plot. I think it's charming.
A little thin. Oh
and
my God,
Paddington's
it's so charming.
Paddington's charm carries it. Paddington's charisma carries this.
Absolutely.
Without Paddington's charisma, it would not have carried it.
The villain aspect of it was a little lacking for me, but I loved it. I loved the characters. I wanted more, I think is what I will say, is I wanted more from each character, because like I said, I loved the mom. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because I'm just like, well, I'm like at her age, and I'm just like, yeah, I would totally be like the crazy one if I really let myself like become eccentric. I probably would be just like her. I'm totally on your side with this. This is a kid's movie that should be watched. This is definitely a kids should watch this. They should know about Paddington. They should read probably the books too. I haven't read the books like recently, so I can't really say that, but this definitely watch this. They have to have this.
This should be one that get your kid to watch this on repeat instead of some of that other bullshit. Yeah.
Yes. I want a Paddington now. I probably will get myself a little Paddington if I can't find the one that I think I had when I was little. I kind of want a Paddington bear. But if you're a parent, it's on the shelf. If you have like kids in your life that you see all the time, it's on your shelf. It has to be on your shelf, right?
Yep.
If you're nostalgic for it, like you were saying, it's on your shelf, right? Yeah. It's not on my shelf. But I loved it. And I think if, like, again, like you were saying, if stuff changes for me, 100%, this is the one I'm going to go for. This is the one I'm going to go find, buy, and immediately be like, this is the movie.
Yeah. Do you want to put it in the box just to have it?
I think I have to put it in the box because I'm going to have to pull it out. I might have to pull it out and put it on the shelf eventually.
Yeah. So you just want to have it in the box.
I want it.
Yeah.
I want it. Yeah. like I feel like I can't say this yet. I might have to read one of the books. The book might be on my shelf.
Oh, there you go.
I'll put the book on my shelf.
Yeah, which is easier to do than the
But the movie, I'll put the book on my shelf.
Now I've heard Paddington 2 is a masterpiece.
Oh no. If you guys want us
So
to get that one out,
we'll have that on the list to do that one as well. I want to make sure people understand. We think this was a very good movie.
oh no, I loved it.
It's
love
just not
Paddington.
for me.
Right.
And I understand I put Power Rangers on Day of the
that's
Dumpster on
nostalgia
the shelf.
factor.
But it's nostalgia. It's for me. Or E.T. I personally think E.T. is a better movie. It's not as charming.
It's a different
but-
type of movie, though.
Yeah, and I have nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I want to
So-
see little Paddingtons walking around, they're wanting to dress up just like Paddington Bear. I will cry.
Yeah. So it's a weird answer, but that's what this show is. That's what Shelf Life is. I hope people understand that, because I don't want people walking away going, "You said no, that means it's bad," or
It's not bad.
You said no, that means you don't
that's
like
not what
it.
it means.
No, that's not what it means. Everyone else has a shelf as well, but this is the Shelf Life shelf. It just happens to be our truth. And that's why I'm glad that
And it might
you
change.
can kind
We
of
might
say
have
the
to
box.
revisit it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can kind of say the box. It's like the holiday. If the holiday was good, it was never like, no matter how good the holiday, no matter how good the holiday
You
could
might really
have been.
enjoy something
Yeah.
so much, right? Oh, this was great. But you don't have to put it on the shelf.
Yeah, I have to see it again. Yeah.
You saw it once. It was good enough.
Yeah. Although I do want a little Pizzuto, I want everyone to hear me out clearly when I say this. I want a little Pizzuto statue.
That's right.
But I want his hand to be up like the Pazuzu statue, so I can tell everyone I have a little
My
Pizzuto statue. Yeah, I'll get a little Paddington figurine.
I want a
or
little
something.
Paddington sitting on his briefcase.
That I'll put on the shelf. I will put a little Paddington.
Physical Paddington
Yeah.
will go on the shelf, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's the story. That's what it is, Kevin. It's
Yeah,
not this movie.
It's not
It's
this movie.
Paddington
it's
himself.
Paddington.
He gets to be
Yes.
on the shelf.
And
Paddington
that-
is on the shelf,
Yeah, and that
but
that
not
does
the
it too.
movie.
Yeah, that does it a bit too. Because it's Paddington.
That
It's
story,
him.
that
Yeah.
whole story about Paddington and that's beautiful. The movie, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, does him
But-
justice.
Yes, but Paddington is on the shelf. Paddington
Yes.
Bear is on the shelf. Paddington is not.
So that was Paddington, directed by Paul King from 2014. A good movie. A very good movie. Not on the shelf.
But in the
can
box.
There you
And
go.
Paddington himself is sitting there. He's a bookend.
Oh, definitely a bookend. Until next time, get your marmalade sandwiches ready, folks. I've been...
And I've been Rachel, also known as...
And this is Shelf Life. We will see you next time.
It doesn't matter that he comes from the other side of the world, or that he's a different species, or that he has a worrying marmalade habit. We love Paddington, and that makes him family.